Good morning, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. This meeting has been held in person and by teleconference in accordance with Municipal Government Act. Council chambers are open to the public and remote participation is available. The chair may invite comments on specific items when recognized. Please state your name. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes, 10 minutes per group in accordance with procedure bylaw. This meeting is being recorded and being published online. Please mute your devices unless you're speaking. All persons have the right to attend. However, disruptive behavior may result in removal at the discretion of the chair. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding. There's an agenda before us. Is there any additions, deletions, changes?
Through the Reeve to council, yes, administration would like to request to move 7.8 in new business to section 3 under bylaws as 3.4. And we would also like to request that the West Highway 1 Industrial Park Servicing Report, an in-camera item, be moved to an appointment time of 1 p.m. as our consultants will be here to attend that meeting.
So 8 closed session, there will be a 1 p.m. appointment and
7.8 to 3.4.
3.4. Okay. I also, in the interest of the people in the room, I want to juggle the public hearing part around a little bit so we can deal with some of this straightforward. So I'm suggesting that we move 3.2 to 3.1, 3.3 to 3.2, and 3.1 to 3.3. My reason behind this is because there's a public hearing for the road closure, and I do not want to confuse the people in the room with a public hearing, starting a public hearing, closing a public hearing, and it might overlap the information. I'd like to keep them clean and separate. The road closure for the people that are in the room are not for the data center. This is for an Origin Business Park item, so completely unrelated. But 3.2 and 3.3 are directly related to Goldfinch Industrial ASB amendment. So I'll move that we move 3.2 to 3.1, 3.3 to 3.2, and 3.1 to 3.3 as amended. Any further discussion? Call the question.
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Kind of did that. It's okay. No worries. I'll call the question. That's carried. Is there any notices of motion by any councillors? Okay, we'll move on to 3.1, which was 3.2. Bylaw 2025-32 Goldfinch Industrial ASP Amendment, third reading. And just want a reminder to everybody that's in the crowd, I know there was, we had a public hearing already on this. So the process will be, staff will present the report again. There'll be a debate by council. There is no opportunity for input for a public hearing. That is closed. So I just want to remind everybody of that. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Felt.
Good morning, Council. Taylor Felt with administration, here to present Bylaw 2025-32 for Council's consideration of third reading. The public hearing for Bylaws 2025-32 and 2025-34 were held concurrently on July 7th. This morning, each bylaw will be considered separately, beginning with the Area Structure Plan amendments and the Area Concept Plan. Following consideration of the information presented at the public hearing on July 7th, which included public concerns and administration's review of the planning and technical matters, Council proceeded with first and second readings, recognizing that outstanding site-specific matters could be further addressed and mitigated through subsequent development, engineering, and regulatory approval processes. Throughout my presentation this morning, I'll just be moving through some of the changes on the screen here. So the purpose of this bylaw is to amend the Goldfinch Industrial Area Structure Plan by making textual amendments, revising maps and figures, and appending the Diode Ventures Area Concept Plan to establish a planning framework for future development of a data processing facility within the ASP area. Administration's report, which was presented at the July 7th council meeting, can be found on page 18 of the agenda package. The report has been updated where necessary to reflect council's decision to retain Range Road 264 as a public roadway. On the screen, I have a summary of the proposed amendments today. With Range Road 264 remaining open to public travel, the applicant has updated relevant technical studies and reports, necessary figures, and proposed amendments to sections of the ACP to reflect the development concept changes. I'll identify those changes here briefly. And I'll just be moving through some of the figures and sections that have been updated. So with Range Road 264 now remaining open as a public roadway through the plan area, this separates the development into two sites identified as the eastern and western development areas. Each of the development area will have independent access from Township Road 222, with secondary access points from Range Road 264 identified for future consideration through emergency response planning. The development area of each site has also been slightly reduced to accommodate the retained roadway and associated setbacks. Additional landscape screening is proposed on both sides of Range Road 264 to minimize visual impacts from the public roadway. We can see this on the updated conceptual plan on the screen here. The updated technical reports and studies were also reviewed by the county's third-party engineers, whose comments can be found on page 209 of the agenda package. These revisions primarily affected the transportation impact assessment, which confirms that retaining Range Road 264 does not change the original transportation analysis, conclusions, or recommendations. The overall development concept and three-phase build-out remains substantially unchanged. However, relevant area structure plan and area concept plan figures have been revised to reflect the retained roadway, including the development concept. So I'll move through these figures here as we discuss them. The transportation network, and then the conceptual servicing plan and the area structure plan, the conceptual stormwater servicing plan, which can be found on page 134 of the agenda package, and the mitigation plan found on page 144. The corresponding sections of the area concept plan addressing the conceptual plan, servicing, transportation, mitigation, and development phasing have also been updated to reflect Range Road 264 remaining open. These amendments are included in Schedule B of Bylaw 2025-32, and except where revisions necessary to accommodate Range Road 264, administration's analysis and recommendations presented at the July 7th council meeting remain unchanged. So this morning, administration is recommending that council grant third reading of Bylaw 2025-32. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing and hearing none. Council's wishes. There's two motions in front of us. One is to amend before we do third reading, if that passes. Council's wishes. Silence. Go ahead.
I'm not going to make a motion right now. I just want to add something. At the public hearing, I voted first and second readings. I also voted against the unanimous consent. That's why we're here today. I needed time to think. The presentation was good. It was excellent. There was numerous concerns from the public, wrote numerous letters. The concerns were basically all the same. I don't mean one concern, but you could categorize them into different. And I thought there was a good response from the developer, everything. And that's what makes it so tough. But the public, public didn't want it for. And ever since, and I know the process intimately, we could pass it, we could go to the DP and we can heap on conditions, we can do all that kind of stuff. But I have a hard time with this because people, the ratepayers should be happy. I got elected from Division 6 ratepayers. But now that I'm elected, the whole county's my ratepayer. Everyone in the county I have to look out for. And overwhelmingly, the response has not been good for the development. And I don't know why. I've thought about it. I can't give you an answer for it. And for me, that if it was a simpler thing about where the water is or leaking or something, maybe I could, but not for the public. So I just wanted to say that. That's why we're here. I've thought about it good and hard, and you'll have to wait and see what my votes are going to be.
Thank you. Any other ones? Go ahead.
I'll add to that. I agree with Councillor Kester. It's a very difficult situation because the opposition that you hear are certain things, and you can list them out. Most of them have been addressed by the applicant, and so yeah, it's more like a opposition to the idea of it, maybe, or I don't know. I do, though, think that this is a concept. We're approving a concept plan. And I do think there are opportunities at the development stage to heap on conditions or however to mitigate all of the concerns that people have. I still feel like that the development can be done in a way that in the end would be satisfactory to people. So those are just my comments.
We should, actually, the proper procedure would be to have a motion on the floor and debate that motion, especially on something like this. So resolution 1 is amending the plan that's been in front of us to take out the road closure and keep the road as is. And that's why that revised motion is there. Go ahead.
I'll move that council amend bylaw 2025-32, this being a bylaw for the purpose of amending the Goldfinch Industrial Area Structure Plan, bylaw 2018, I can't see the other three words. -31, revising figure 4, current land use, figure 7, development concept, and figure 8, transportation network of the Goldfinch Industrial Area Structure Plan as shown on the attached Schedule A forming part of this bylaw, and 2, revising various sections and figures of the Diode Ventures Data Center Area concept plan as shown on the attached Schedule B forming part of this bylaw.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Debate on that motion. Go ahead.
So, you know, I just want to appreciate everyone that has spoken for and against this. I was well aware that there was actually quite a few people that did support it, and I understand how many people don't. And then, so in my private life, I had a chance to always be exposed to science. So I went looking for some answers. So on the human health side, I went and looked at the Mayo Clinic. They have an absolutely neutral stance on data centers. So then you know, because we're in rural Wheatland County, maybe there's some right wingers in here. So I went and looked at Harvard, who's more left, and they have two concerns, water and electricity. Well, you know, the water usage in this, or in these types of plants is very highly mitigated by by using air cooling and glycol. So the water, it's going to be 50 to 100 people, and those 50 to 100 employees are going to use that water. And some of those people, if they're local, they will have used that water right inside the Bow River catchment area as well. So the water use is important to me, but I think it's mitigatable. I think,
Councillor Hebbs, we should just keep the debate for the motion that's in front of us. I realize where you're going, but we want to talk about the amendment part of it first. So just stick to that. The second, if there's a third reading, that would be more appropriate than I'm not trying to take the wind out of your sails or nothing. I just want to keep it focused on everything. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just debating the change basically because the road's being taken out. So
everybody knows that this is to keep the road open
that's
to the
correct.
public.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
The request on the original development was to close the road. Council at the previous meeting voted against that. Give first and second reading of the general development without the road in there. Anyone else?
I think I stated before, I want to keep that road open, and that's why I made that original motion. So I'm okay with the amendment.
Thank you. I drove in that area. I went on that road recently and looked at it, and I understand that a lot of agricultural uses it, but honestly don't know how you can get past those train crossings because it's pretty narrow there. If you had a big piece of equipment, it'd be pretty tight, but if you can do it, have at her.
I've taken a 30-foot swath across that road. Thank you.
Okay, because it's very tight with the crossing arms there, so, yeah. Any other debate before I call the question on the amendment? Okay, I'll call the question. It's not me. Okay. That is carried unanimously for the amendment. Councillor Kester, do you have an issue? That's right. Yeah, yeah. Resolution 2 is the third reading of bylaw 2025-32 that is not on the floor yet, but that's the direction would be going.
I'll move that council moves third reading of bylaw 2025-32 as amended.
Thank you. Motion on the floor, debate on this motion. Councillor Hebbs.
so I'll just quick recap. Mayo, they're totally neutral on the health stance. Harvard is neutral on the health stance. And so who's the other big three? Well, Johns Hopkins. And if you go look at Johns Hopkins Medical Center, they're putting a $196 million data center right on their East Baltimore campus, right in the middle of downtown Baltimore. So that gives me some comfort that there's a way to mitigate any human health effects there could possibly be. I mean, those are the guys that need it to propagate human health, and they're putting it right on their center in a city. So then I went and looked at the animal health, and who is the largest animal or one of the most respected? Cornell Vet University in upstate New York, totally neutral on data centers. in my private life, we did a lot of stuff with lots of the big universities, Texas A&M, OSU, Oklahoma State. And so I Googled Kansas State University. They have no concerns about animal health, reproduction, any concerns like that. Got closer to home, WCVM in Saskatoon, no concerns on data centers. The ambient noising and so I did quite a bit of stuff that I could online. Then I went and drove our county. Muirfield has a huge berm that seems to work very well. The county was doing some stuff with skid steer, working back and forth with the beep beep thing. And when I drove around the west end of that and got on the north side of it, you could just barely hear a beeping. I don't know what the decibel would be. I went and looked at the berms at CGC. They seem to work fine. And then I actually went and looked at the berm at Cavalier at the electrical plant down here. They've built those berms 20 feet high. So had a couple phone conversations with some neighbors that lived a little farther away and was able to talk direct face to face with a family who actually lives closest to that Cavalier Center. And they're just no concerns of the ambient noise. And it was operating at the time. We could barely hear it. So, and that's 115 megawatts of productivity. So, I've done as much as I can to try to protect our people, which is really, really important to me.
Thank you. Go ahead. Councillor Clayton.
Yeah, I have heard from a lot of people that I respect, and quite a few of them are here in the audience here today. And I did a lot of calculating as well as looking online for different information. But some of the reasons why we take a look at developments other than agriculture is that the baseline taxation is much higher on something that is physical, like a plant or a gas plant or a fertilizer plant, or even the data centers, which are essentially very large buildings. The one thing that did get presented to me that hadn't been presented before by Diode when they gave their next update, they gave a square footage of the roof area that they were going to actually put under, which would take farmland out of a position, and it was 3,500,000 square feet. And I did a calculation based on two different, high and low, what it would cost just to do the building alone. And that's not what's assessed. You assess not only buildings, you assess infrastructure that is taxable as well. But just based on the building alone, the taxation that would come to the county for that one, when it's built out, is between 5 and 12%, high and low calculation, between 5 and 12% of the total taxation for the county. So it's a very, very significant input. And the usage that they would take from the county for supporting them is very, very minimal. So I just wanted to kind of give our audience and everybody here around the table an idea that it's not a small fraction of our taxation, and taxation in the county is about three different things. One's farmland, one is linear, which is pipelines and gas lines and all that kind of stuff, and the other is plants. And the very, very significant part of the taxation for running this county comes from that type of infrastructure, not just farmland. That's one of the other thing with water, and this is a stupid old calculation of a farmer that does some irrigation, but the roof area of 3,500 or 3,500,000, 1 inch of water, if they collect it, and this is one of the instructions that would have to be given these people, that you collect that water, they would have in an 8-inch year of rainfall, enough water to supply them 10 times over, just from the rainwater off the roof. And then I know that's never come up in any of the conversation, but it's just something I do when I sit there trying to think of what is happening in this world. The one thing about is noise, and this is one thing you're talking about here, and you can mitigate an awful lot of things engineering-wise on noise, and the berms are one thing, but also where you put buildings and the direction that you actually face what is creating any noise. If it was my want here, I'd like to get, and I can't. I found this out that I can't get involved in the engineering side of the business, but I can get involved in the suggestions that if you set up something like this, and it doesn't matter whether it's a data center or any business that creates some noise, that you can mitigate that noise by various different means: insulation, direction. If you have, say, a fan, if you sand it in the vertical direction where your air is going horizontal, then your projection of your sound is horizontal. If you put it in the flat position facing up, your noise direction is vertical. So there's a lot of things you can do. So in this particular case, I would say face all your noise generation towards nutrient, towards the, across the tracks. You got two things that help you. One is the tracks is one of the biggest berms in the world. And the other one is that it's in a direction where there's already a significant amount of noise. There's a pile of other different things around. Now, one of the best things from this data center site is that they will not be generating the power on site. And that is the major source of these big mega whatever units. For the noise generated by the power generation is the toughest one to mitigate. And that will be going someplace else because of the provincial government mandate on doing that. And you don't gain anything by having the plants generating power in various parts around the country. If you're going to generate power, you want to be able to capture the CO2 and mitigate that CO2. If you're trying to do environmental things, you want to do it in a centralized location where you can actually collect it and mitigate it. So that's just some of the comments I've got just doing my armchair research. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to note, we're elected officials here. We're not experts in any field. We get reports from staff, administration, from the applicants. This process is very regimented. We have similar concerns that majority of the public do. And we ask the questions, we get answers to it. People may not like the answers, but may debate those answers. But our administration and our staff will follow up if something gets approved and make sure that they're held accountable to what they're saying they're doing. And there is problems that I won't deny. We've had some other developments in the area where there is problems, and we've had to do stop work orders and things like that to get them back on track. But we are very definitely make sure that they are a good fit for the community, and then how to get those mitigating factors. Anyone else? Councillor Larson.
We can probably debate the merits or not merits of this thing all day long. But I think we need to understand that councillors exist at the behest of the ratepayers. And if we look at how many ratepayers have signed this petition, that's more people than voted for all of us as councillors in the last election. And there was a comment about what apparently one of the councillors said that people in other parts of the county don't care about the data center. Well, I know that there's a lot of residents in my division that care a lot about data centers, this one and the ones that are potentially coming to Division 7. So I think we would be remiss not to listen to our ratepayers.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good debate. Well, if there's no discussion, I'm going to call the question. Calling the question. If anybody thinks this job is fun, try this. It's not a pleasant job sometimes. That's carried.
When I said that I can't help them engineer this crazy thing, and I wanted to be able to put my comments in to mitigate what direction it might go, I still like to be able to do that, and I'm not sure where I can do that. Sorry about that.
No, you can email council or have a discussion with our CAO about inputs and stuff, things that you have and your expertise in certain things, and then they'll take and mitigate it with the developer and our staff to figure out what works.
Because I agree with what Mr. Larson said. You got to listen to the people and you got to mitigate the concerns, and rightfully so. Sorry.
Just for the public here, that is carried, so that is dealt with that one. So we're gonna go back to item number, we're gonna move on to something else. Where it'd be the little road closure and the amending parts of that. Point two, what am I missing? The land redesignation, correct. So let's move on to 3.2, bylaw 2025-34, land redesignation AG to IG.
Hello again, Council. Taylor Felt with administration, here to present bylaw 2025-34 for Council's consideration of third reading. This bylaw also received first and second readings at Council's meeting on July 7th. A subsequent motion to proceed with third reading did not receive the required unanimous consent.
We could just pause for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
We're not in a rush for time.
That's okay. I'll wait for the gallery to clear.
Yeah. Thanks, Taylor. Go ahead.
Not a problem. So bylaw 2025-34 received first and second reading at Council's meeting on July 7th. A subsequent motion to proceed with third reading did not receive the required unanimous consent, and third reading was therefore not considered at that meeting. And that's why the bylaw is now before Council for consideration of third reading this morning. The purpose of the bylaw is to redesignate the subject lands from the Agricultural General District to the Industrial General District to facilitate the future development contemplated by the Diode Ventures Data Center Area Concept Plan. As outlined through the preceding presentation for bylaw 2025-32, the proposal has been updated to reflect Range Road 264 remaining open to public travel. The only corresponding amendment to bylaw 2025-34 is to update the Schedule B to reflect the retained road allowance. And then textual amendments just to clarify the resulting configuration of the lands proposed for redesignation. So I will just pull that up on the screen. We can see the original Schedule B here and the changes here in green. Except for this amendment to Schedule B, the proposed land use redesignation and administration's analysis and recommendation presented on July 7th remain unchanged. Administration is recommending that council grant the third and final reading of bylaw 2025-34 this morning. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Council's wishes. Councilor Head.
I'll move that council amend bylaw 2025-34, this being a bylaw for the purpose of redesignating the subject lands from Agriculture General District to Industrial General District as showing on the attached Schedule A.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Debate on the motion. This is for the road and the land. So we have to do an amendment, amendment because of the original design. And then after that would be third reading to change the land use. Make sense? Okay. Any questions on the amendment? Call the question. That's carried. There's a second resolution. I'll make the motion that council moves third reading of bylaw 2025-34 as amended. Debate on the bylaw, on the motion, on the floor. Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. That is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to, need a motion to start the public hearing for bylaw 2026-09.
I'll move that council moves to open the public hearing for bylaw 2026-09.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Call the question. That's carried. Good morning, everyone. As per section 192 of bylaw 2025-06, the public hearing will be conducted in the following order. Staff report by administration, presentation by the applicant, presentations by public in support of the proposal, presentations by the public in opposition to the proposal, rebuttal presentation by the applicant limited only to the comments read or heard in opposition to the proposal, final questions of administration, and motion to close the public hearing. Applicant will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present, and I believe we're the applicant in this, are we not? We'd be the applicant in the road closure? Yeah. Any individual supporting or opposing the proposal have up to 5 minutes to speak. Any groups of individuals have up to 10 minutes to speak. The applicant will then have a maximum of 10 minutes to present the rebuttal. I'm gonna have to stop till Councillor Clayton comes back. I can proceed with the spiel, but we can't proceed with the public hearing until he's back in the room. If there are any questions relating to this process, please refer to the procedure bylaw. And I'll leave it right there. Yeah, we have to wait till he comes back. Yeah, but he can't be part of the public hearing then if he's not. Yeah, can you just give him that option, please, so he understands? I don't think he realizes. Thank you. Sorry, Keith, it was just if with the public hearing, if you're not here for all of it. Yeah, no, that's okay. I understand. And administration, please verify that the notice of public hearing was circulated in accordance with the Municipal Government Act.
Through the chair, yes, I can confirm that.
Thank you. Are there any written submissions that are not in the public package?
No, there are not.
If anybody comes to the podium, podium, please state your name and address for the record. Please proceed.
Perfect. Good morning, Council. Hassan Said with Planning and Development Services. Today I'm presenting bylaw 2026-09, which proposes to close a 0.35 hectare portion of an undeveloped road allowance. The subject area is located within the Origin Business Park, which is immediately south of Highway 1 East. In terms of the application proposal itself, it proposes to close the undeveloped roadway, allowing the county to retain ownership of the land. This is to ensure continued access to an existing water well for ongoing maintenance and operations. The road allowance is not required for any road access, as adjacent lots have already have legal access and physical access from Durham Drive. Furthermore, it was not identified in the county's road construction program and is not required as part of a future road network. The subject lands are located within the West Highway 1 area structure plan as well, which provides policies to reduce the number of at-grade intersections along the south side of the highway, and that being Highway 1. The road closure application aligns with these policies as it aims to consolidate access and shift traffic to the planned internal road network. The proposal also aligns with the county's regional growth management strategy, which encourages growth through coordinated long-term transportation networks. Notice of the public hearing was sent in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, which requires a road to be closed by bylaw. The road closure bylaw is also required to get approval from the Minister of Alberta Transportation before a second reading can be given. We have not received any submissions, and therefore administration is recommending that council move the first reading of the proposed bylaw as per the motions provided on page 4 of the agenda report. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Kester.
Do we have a future plan for this road allowance when the county takes it over?
Through the chair, I will defer to my team to answer that question.
Through the chair, the administration has been, it's where we installed one of the test wells that we were exploring for water servicing for the West Highway 1 area. Those test wells came back with not enough overall flow to service the area broadly. But we do see there's an interim opportunity to supply water to one of the developers in the area on an interim basis. We anticipate that'll happen for 2 or 3 years before they transition over to piped water system. So part of the motivation for this is closing the road because there is no use for it. It would get transferred into the county's hands, and then we would use this space for the operation of the water well, at least temporarily.
And I guess too, for me, to have an access there when we got better access, it's not that far away. It's better for the traveling public to cut down on that access on that. Number one, I believe, is better access is, I don't think it's an important access for public to get onto the highway there. They got better places to get on it, right?
Hang on, Councillor Hebbs and then Councillor Clayton after. Are you done, Councillor Kester? Thank you. Thank you.
Just a question for clarification for the public. At this point in time, we're going to retain ownership of the road allowance and the well, knowing that in the future we could possibly sell it. But at the moment, like for the foreseeable short-term future, at least we're going to continue ownership of it.
Through the chair, that is the intent. What the future brings for the water well or that piece of property is unknown. However, there's a good potential that the county would retain ownership permanently. Again, can't predict the future though. So,
Councillor Clayton.
Yeah, I was up there yesterday traveling. There's no access to Highway 1 really. There's just an dead end part of the road that nobody uses. And so I just wanted to, at least I couldn't find an access from Highway 1, let's put it that way.
Through the chair, just for clarification, so that is a.
Oh, your microphone.
So through the chair, just to clarify, that is an undeveloped road allowance at the moment, and there are no future plans to upgrade it, which is why we're looking to close it.
I would tend to think AT with the freeway portion of it would never allow us to open that road anyways, because of the egress of the scales is right there. And the traffic concerns, they'd probably push us. I'm surprised they haven't recommended we close this actually a long time ago, but no, for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that, through the chair. I try to avoid speaking in absolute terms, but I'm pretty confident that Alberta Transportation will never allow the county to open up that access to the highway.
And with the future possible interchange and things like that coming, I just, yeah. Any more debate? We're all clear that we're just closing a road that's not a road, or we're using it, I'm gonna say for a utility right away in the future, possibly. We're gonna have to have some kind of thing, or we'd convert into that. Because we're gonna have a utility there at some point. Yeah, whether it's permanent or temporary, we don't know.
Yeah, through the chair, we'll have to have some consultation with planning. It could be that the county changes it to a public utility lot, or something of that sort, but that will come in next steps.
Fair enough. Council have enough information before I call the question? Oh, that's right. Sorry, we're in the public hearing. My confusion. Is there any presentations by the applicant with us? I would consider this our presentation. Is there presentations by public in support of the proposal? Second time, is there presentations by the public in support of the proposal? Support, you'll get your chance here in a second. Third time, is there any presentations by the public in support of the proposal? It will move on. Is there any presentations by the public in opposition to the proposal? If there is, please come to the microphone, state your name, your address, and your concerns.
Councillors, Reeve, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Boorsema. I live on 241048 Range Road 264, so diagonally across the development. Thankfully, staff has answered some of my questions that was not available to me in the original documents. But the first point is, I would like to speak against the closure for two reasons. My understanding is that once the road is closed as a roadway, Wheatland County can then sell it at any time without any public consultation. Is that correct?
I don't believe that without public consultation, I don't think is a correct statement, but I could.
Through the Reeve to council, there is a process depending on whether we advertise to sell the land, and then it goes through that process. However, if we receive an offer, it would come to council as long as it's at fair market value. It would not need to be posted. But to sell the land, it would have to be because it's a public utility with the well. If we were to look at it just as a lot, we'd have to look at whether it could meet a building envelope. And if not, it would most likely be something that we would consider looking at adjacent landowners to consolidate into their lots, should the county decide to sell the lot.
Okay, follow up to that. Is there any reason these wells, if they were developed, cannot be developed on the road allowance? Does it have to be closed?
So you're suggesting keep the road allowance open and just use one?
As a road allowance?
Question.
Just to
Through the
protect it from
Reeve,
resale?
because these are questions and he's supposed to be
Oh, yes.
asking, I'm happy to talk to him or have one of our planners explain any of these questions afterward. I just would like to keep us on the fact that he's presenting his opposition.
Yeah.
And then if we would like, we can have the planner speak rebuttal to the opposition.
Okay, so.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Boersma, just if you have questions, we'll write them down and then as a follow-up, they'll get answered.
Part of the problem is that I don't know that council will understand those questions after the fact and go ahead and close the road. That's why I'm picking them up now, so that councilors all know what's going on. Having said that, in the past, council often charges developers cash in lieu for urban reserves. Here we have a nice parcel that would make a wonderful green space in the midst of all this industrial commercial action. It would be a spot where spouses could wait with their kids before their significant others get off work from one of the job sites there. Could be a place where workers have lunch break away from the noise of their establishment. Put in a few park benches, and it'll be an ideal spot for people to view aircraft as they take off. Unless, of course, the pilot triggers the water bomber. But as I said, my main concern was the wells, who drilled them, why were they drilled? But I also want to talk to comments made by councillors that there's no needed access. That's 2 miles of right of way, frontage across Highway 1. We're expecting the lot association to maintain that berm. You're telling me they have to work that 2 mile section from one end or the other and they can't access it in the middle anymore? This makes it very difficult to service ruptured irrigation. There is telephone lines in there. There's power right next to it. If you could say it was a utility corridor that can't be automatically sold, maybe that's the answer. I would like to see it stay as a green space. And if you need the wells, okay, but I'm not quite sure why Wheatland County taxpayers are picking up the development of these wells for, I assume, the obvious developer. I would also make the comment that staff said that the well flow wasn't great. There's a fair amount of well flow, but not that much. But I know that when they were drilled last year, my well water suffered. When I filled my hot tub, the water was almost black with sediment, whether that was from the fracking material they used to plug the bottom. It also had a very bad smell to the point where I had to change the anoid in my hot water tank for fear that's what it was. So there is good flow there. But the main thing is these waters are very salty. If you're going to dump this water anywhere, it's going to cause siltation. So even if it's only a 3-year period while they get to other sources of water, this salt is an issue. And I think there's enough among us that recognize that. So these are some of the concerns I have. Like I said, I was mainly concerned because there was no mention of the wells in the original documents. And as far as I could tell, when staff sent out the required notification to all the parties, they didn't know the wells were there. So yes, we can add that in now and that clarifies some of it, but I'd still very much like council to, even if for a short period of time, de Havilland needs these waters, consider the salt issue. You can't use it for manufacturing without RO, which means you double the water volumes. But maintain it as a green space. And if the wells have to be used part-time, there's no reason that can't work together. We don't need to sell off the land to facilitate what sounds like staff is doing. And yeah, I will once again repeat, I'm a little upset that Wheatland County taxpayers are picking this up on behalf of a developer. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public that is opposition to this proposal? Third time, is there anyone in opposition to the proposal? Rebuttal presentation by applicant limited only to the comments. So would that be us as well? Okay, go ahead. Can you answer any of the questions or?
Yeah, for sure. So through the chair, in terms of the application itself, it's concerning, so like the public hearing intent was just concerned around the road closure itself. Anything with the water wells or future development or ongoing operations, they would be undertaken by a separate regulatory process. So that would, like, if any other future applications were to come in or upgrades were to be made, those would be done to a different process. So that would be one.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Through the chair, just to add to those comments as well. There was a question about whether the well could have been located in the right of way. In fact, I mean, it is currently located in the right of way. It was originally as a test well that the county did. Later found out that there could be some temporary use of the well for the development area, so we're exploring that. And then just to reinforce that point, the water well application, there will be an application through Alberta Environment for the registration of this water well. Wheatland County has started that process with Alberta Environment, but as part of that process, Alberta Environment does seek public input, and so there will be a point where the county is required to advertise the water well or the intention to register the water well. And then there's a separate mechanism through Alberta Environment for the public to provide statements of concern towards that application, which then Alberta Environment and the county will need to respond to.
Thank you. Councillor Hebbs.
So question for staff, like, I don't think there's a timeline on when you have to register that well, correct? Like, when you do register it, then you will have the driller, the depth, the flow test, all that type of stuff. But I don't think, like, I think you could let that sit for 3-5 years if you chose not to, is my understanding.
Through the chair, I don't know if I can speak to all of those details, although I can say that the county has already started the process of the well testing and the application for registering it as a groundwater well. We're in that process now. At some point, Alberta Environment will come back to the county after their initial review and ask us to advertise the application, at which point anybody in the public is able to submit statements of concern specifically related to the groundwater well application.
Thank you. Councillor Clayton.
I hear what the gentleman is saying, and closing the road is a formality that is good. Keeping the road under the county for green space at the time is 100% fine with me at the moment. The water well, it gave us an opportunity to do something for De Havilland interim, and getting it tested and registered, I think, is necessary. I don't think at any point at the moment that we're considering of selling any of that. We're maintaining control. Is that not correct?
Through the chair, administration at this point has no intent or future intent for selling the property. Again, we don't know what the county will decide in the future, but there is no plans right now for that.
I can speak to kind of the process involved with the development. The opposition was asking about the wells and things like that. There was a report that came to council a few years ago and a request for a decision, and we chose to do an exploratory program to find raw water for possible development. That was a public process. It was not behind closed doors or anything like that. So we directed administration to develop wells, and that they, where do we have land? Well, we have a road right away, so we utilize that. Turns out there's water there. Turns out there is going to be some treatment challenges, no doubt, but that will be dealt with in the future. The costs of that were public for sure, but I know we passed it, and I can't remember the exact bylaw, but there was a water utility rate bylaw or a motion from council to be able to supply water to development in the area at cost recovery. So that means those costs will be coming back to the county through water utility rates and development of that system. The applicant is fully aware of that. You brought up some good points about green space access to the berms and stuff in the future. As Councillor Clayton said, I don't think anybody here we're not doing this to sell the land. We're doing this because we have, number one, the road will never be a road up to the highway, at least highway access. And we drill the well in that area for future development, and there's water there. So that's why this is here. Your concerns about green space stuff, that's something I never thought of, and access, which is good. And I'm sure administration would have that as well, but I don't see us in the next 5 years selling this, but future councils could. Yeah. Any more? Move on to final questions of administration. Is there anything else council needs before we make a decision to close the public hearing? Motion to close the public hearing. Go ahead.
Also move.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. I will call the question. That's carried. Council's wishes. We have some motions. You go. Yep, sure.
The council moves the first reading of bylaw 2026-09, this being a bylaw for the purpose of closing the public travel and creating title for plus or minus 0.35 hectares portion of the public roadway described in Area A between Northeast 7/24/26 west of 4 and Northwest 8/24/26 west of 4 as shown in the attached Schedule A forming part of the bylaw.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll ask the question, because it's first reading, it's a road closure, estimated timeline. It used to be like a year for a road closure to come back with us. No. Are they faster now?
So, I mean, I'm hearing that they are slightly faster, maybe 3 to 4 months before we hear back from
Fair
Alberta.
enough. So for the public, we get the approval from the province and then we bring it back and go with second and third reading. So
Yes, that's correct.
everybody's aware of that. So, yeah, perfect. Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call the question. And that is carried. We have a delegate here at 10 o'clock. Does council want to jump right in or do we want to take a 5-minute break? 5-minute break? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break and start at 10:07. Hey, everyone, if I can get you back, and we have Chantel Sangster, Executive Director for Community Futures Wild Rose, doing a presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. Boy, do I know how to clear a room. Members of council and administration, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Today, I want to do more than give you a general overview of Community Futures Wild Rose. I want to show you what it looks like, our work here in Wheatland County, how we invest in local businesses, the kind of entrepreneurs that we support.
Turn my mic off and turn yours.
Alongside the county as new opportunities emerge. Community Futures has been serving this region since 1989. Our work is grounded in a simple belief. When local entrepreneurs have access to the right financing, guidance, and connections, they create jobs, provide essential services, and build stronger communities. That is what we mean when we talk about building Wheatland County's economy one business at a time. To understand our impact, it helps to begin with the 3 roles Community Futures plays for rural business. We work in 3 connected areas: capital, guidance, and community capacity. First, we provide flexible business financing. We often work with entrepreneurs whose ideas are viable, but whose circumstances don't neatly fit within conventional lending criteria. We do not replace banks. In many cases, we work alongside them, completing part of a financing package or helping a business become ready for conventional financing. Second, we provide practical business guidance. Through one-on-one coaching, we help entrepreneurs review business plans, work through financial projections, assess expansion opportunities, and navigate difficult decisions. We also offer business training, workshops, and online courses that give entrepreneurs practical skills they can apply within their business. Third, we work at the community level through workforce development, business retention, regional partnerships, and other economic development initiatives. We are locally governed, regionally delivered, and focused specifically on the realities of rural business. What makes this model especially valuable is that the money invested in one business does not stop working when that loan is repaid. Community Futures began with an original investment of approximately $1 million back in 1989, and it has not received additional funding for lending. Since then, we've provided more than $40 million in business loans across our region. Those loans have helped leverage an additional $52 million in investment from business owners, financial institutions, and other sources. Together, that represents approximately $92 million in total business investments supported through our region. What makes the model powerful is that these are not one-time grant dollars. As clients repay their loans, the principal and interest is returned to the fund and is invested into the next entrepreneur. The loans we make today help create opportunities for future business owners of tomorrow. It is a pay-it-forward system, and it allows the original investment to continue creating economic activity for decades to come. Now let's look at how much of that investment stayed in Wheatland County. Since 1989, CFWR has invested more than $7.1 million directly into Wheatland County businesses. To put that into perspective, CFWR serves 15 municipalities across the region. Wheatland County is one of those 15, yet it accounts for nearly 20% of all the lending CFWR has completed. Through that financing, we have helped 479 businesses start, grow, purchase equipment, adapt to change, and pursue new opportunities. What these numbers tell me is that Wheatland County entrepreneurs don't simply know about Community Futures, they use us. For nearly 4 decades, our fund has been responding to consistent need for flexible business financing within the county. Behind these numbers are local businesses that are creating jobs, providing essential services in your communities, supporting their families, and strengthening Wheatland County's economy. And these numbers matter, but the businesses behind them tell the story much better. I want to share 2 examples with you. Equine Connection is a wonderful example of what rural economic development can look like. Carrie Fulmack operates the business from her rural property near Carsland, right here in Wheatland County, and she has been a CFWR client since 2010. What began as Carrie's vision of helping people through horses has grown into an internationally developed certification and business development program. Equine Connection has trained hundreds of facilitators with a network extending across Canada, the US, Australia, and New Zealand. Graduates receive more than a certification. They receive curriculum, business training, marketing, and pricing tools, and ongoing mentorship to help them build their own equine-assisted learning businesses. And what I love about this story is that Carrie did not have to leave Wheatland County to build something with global reach. She created intellectual property, exports her knowledge, and helps create other entrepreneurs, all while remaining rooted in a rural acreage near Carsland. Sometimes an economic opportunity does not look conventional at first. Our role is to recognize the entrepreneur's potential and help them move forward with their business idea. The second business I want to share with you looks very different, but it is every bit as important to the economy of a small rural community. Queen Regent Bed and Breakfast represents another side of rural economic development, one built around tourism, heritage, and the determination of a local entrepreneur. Alana Boker came into the Community Futures office back in 1997 with a dream to open a B&B in Rosebud. Nearly 30 years later, she's still welcoming visitors to her business. The Queen Regent operates from a 4,000 square foot historic home that was originally Rosebud's teacherage. It is located just 1 block from Rosebud Theatre, allowing theatre patrons to turn an evening performance into an overnight visit. That matters in a small tourism community. When visitors stay overnight, the economic value of their visit grows. They spend more time in the area, support other local businesses, and are more likely to experience Rosebud as a destination rather than a single event. Alana has also persevered and given new purpose to a historically significant property. This is not a high growth business story like Econ Connection. It is a longevity story, and longevity matters. A locally owned business that remains part of a community for nearly 3 decades is making a meaningful economic contribution. But so far, I have focused largely on the financing because it is central to our work. But financing is only one part of what CFWR supports the regional economy. A strong rural economy needs more than access to capital. Businesses also need workers, reliable information, practical support, and communities with strong local organizations. Through our workforce development project, 306 participants attended our Strathmore and Area Trade Day this year, giving young people direct exposure to skilled trades and local career opportunities. Through our business walks this summer, we heard from and spoke directly with 267 businesses. Those conversations gave us valuable on-the-ground business intelligence about confidence, workforce pressures, expansion plans, and emerging challenges. Our Community Heroes project has supported 41 non-for-profit organizations across the region, while our Heart of Our Community campaign generated 192 nominations, and we shared 53 stories about the people and businesses contributing and giving back to their communities. We're also involved in business continuity, disaster recovery, and succession planning. Our direct relationships with business owners allows us to identify concerns early and connect people with the right resources before a challenge becomes a crisis. Together, these activities strengthen the broader business environment and align closely with Wheatland County's priorities. I do want to acknowledge that your CAO let me know that you're in the final stages of developing a new strat plan. For today's presentation, I have used the priorities currently published on the county's website. While the specific wording may change, I expect these broad areas of alignment still remain relevant. Based on those priorities, the connection to our work is very clear. I was happy to see that a diverse and thriving economy is one of Wheatland County's priorities because this is the heart of CFWR's work. Everything we do is intended to help local businesses start, grow, and adapt and remain in our communities. Strategic priorities are another area where CFWR can add practical capacity. Because we serve 15 municipalities and work directly with businesses, we can connect Wheatland County with regional partners, support business outreach, and bring financing, coaching, and workforce programming into shared initiatives. De Havilland Field and CGC are good examples of where early collaboration could help local businesses prepare for and benefit from opportunities created by major regional development. Our direct relationships with entrepreneurs through lending, coaching, and initiatives such as Business Walks also support the county's priority of communication and business engagement. We can share what businesses are experiencing, identify emerging needs, and connect entrepreneurs with municipal resources when appropriate. Wheatland County's fourth priority is to be a sustainable organization. And while that priority focuses on the county's own operations, organizational sustainability is also important to us. We look for ways to use existing regional capacity, deliver services efficiently, and avoid duplication already being done. CFWR provides specialized business development expertise, programs across the region, and we have never received municipal operational funding for our core services. And that is important context. Wheatland County receives access to an established business lender, advisor, and economic development partner without CFWR drawing on the county's operating budget. The value of this relationship grows when we are connected to business and opportunities early. The most important message I want to leave with council today is that the earlier we are connected, the more opportunities we have to help. When council members or administration hear about someone considering a business, planning an expansion, purchasing a commercial property, or struggling with a challenge, please refer them to us early. A conversation with CFWR does not obligate anyone to borrow money. Sometimes the most valuable thing we provide is clarity, preparation, or a connection to another resource. We also want to be included in relevant economic development conversations and to hear about emerging needs and investment opportunities. The development surrounding de Havilland Field is a strong example. The opportunity is not only the aerospace campus itself. It is also the network of suppliers, contractors, service providers, and local businesses that could grow around it. CFWR can help those businesses prepare, finance their growth, and participate in that opportunity. CFWR is here to complement the county's work and to help turn local ideas into viable businesses. When local businesses move forward, Wheatland County moves forward, and that is the work we are all here to do. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions?
I have a question. There's a business in my area, and about a year ago or so, they renovated it and reopened it. It's a gas station. And they were having difficulties recruiting just people to work in the store kind of thing. So this isn't like a trade or it's just a part-time job for different people. And I did give them your information, hope that they did contact you. But what kind of advice would you give a business that's not looking for skilled labor? They just need a reliable workforce to do their, I don't think they're open 24 hours, but they're
Right.
You need a number of people to accommodate all the shifts.
Absolutely. And
In
we
a
did a
small town.
we did a workforce study a few years ago, and it was determined in that study that 80% of the available jobs in Wheatland area were non-skilled. And so that is a very common, and we heard that during our business walks as well, is that workforce was one of the number one issues that employers in this region are having, is getting that workforce. 80% of the jobs are non-skilled. Our region itself, 40% of people have a post-secondary or trade. So we have an overskilled population where the jobs that are available are non-skilled workers. So that what they're experiencing is something very familiar. And we work very closely with Prospect Now, who helps employers find those workers. So they're that kind of resource that we would work with if an inquiry came in like that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I mean, I went on one of the walks in my area with Community Futures, and it was it's the banks are, there's lots of people that have told me this actually, that the banks are very difficult now. They don't want new business. They want something very, very secure. And Community Futures is willing to invest, but not that they don't just leave you invest, give you your capital and then leave you. There's so many programs that they can take to help you with your business. And I think that's where they're successful. And yeah, I just want to just say how impressed I was with all that.
Thank you. Yes, that's one of the reasons why I think our clients are so successful, is because we have that we call them wraparound services, where we're offering them that one-on-one coaching, we're doing the training, we're doing all of those things to help build their business acumen to ensure they're successful. We want businesses to be successful in Wheatland County, so we're going to do everything we can to support those businesses. Hi, Keith.
This is more of a curious question. We're going to be dealing with an item this afternoon where a young lady is wanting to immigrate to Canada and has to go through quite a process. And one of the processes that help is getting a community backing. And it's for employers in the area that require these people. Is there anything that you can do to help us, I guess, with allowing these people to make the application so they can come to Canada?
Are you referring to the rural renewal that you're speaking to later on this afternoon or
Yes.
later on in your meeting? Okay. So part of that workforce study that we did back then, one of the things that we were looking at is the town of Strathmore was looking at potentially applying for rural renewal, but they had no data to support or not support that application. So we did that workforce study, and the consultant's recommendation was for the town of Strathmore not to pursue it on their own, and that if it were ever to be pursued, the rural renewal, it would have to be a regional collaboration. So there would have to be 5 or 6 municipalities coming together. So the recommendation wasn't for Wheatland County to do it on their own or town of Strathmore to do it on their own, that it would have to be a regional. When we did that, we called 3 municipalities to their ECDEV departments and asked municipalities that were in the rural renewal stream at the time. We said, what are the pros and cons to this? They had nothing on the pros list. Everything was on the cons list, and they really steered us against it and said that the government of Alberta was going to have to make some serious changes before the program. They launched it. It needed some corrections. So they made those corrections in January this year. I believe there's 5 recommendations or 5 changes to the program. One of the changes to those programs is that tier 4 and 5 jobs were no longer allowed to come through rural renewal, and those are the non-skilled. So you can't do tier 4 and 5 employees through the rural renewal stream anymore. And 80% of the jobs available in this region are tier 4 and 5. So it really doesn't make any sense for you guys to pursue it. I agree with administration's recommendation to not pursue this at this time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Don't want to get too deep in the weeds on immigration and stuff, but truly one of the challenges, is housing, right? I mean,
Correct.
A kid born and raised here can't afford a house in Strathmore or in the country, right? So, there is pros and cons. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Housing came up in that workforce, and we heard it on our business walks this year as well, that it was challenging to get employees to work, especially in rural areas, because there was no place for them to live. We do have a lending product for developers. It's called the Builders Bridge line of credit, and it helps contractors. You know how there's certain draws in a mortgage. By the time the next draw comes, they're really running on fumes, and they're not paying their trades. They're not able to order the next product. So we have this line of credit that kind of flows alongside the bank's mortgage that they can draw from, so that the project goes seamlessly. So we are trying to help with that housing crisis.
Thank you.
The side that I'm mainly talking about is agriculture.
For sure.
And a lot of the agricultural people require these unskilled laborers.
Absolutely.
Including feedlots, that type of thing. And so how do they get any help in being able to get that to happen if nobody's going to step forward?
Right. So again, agriculture falls in that tier 4 or 5 job description. So rural renewal won't help with the agriculture as well. I believe the government of Alberta has done that to hopefully get young Albertans into those roles. I believe that was the intent, but don't quote me on that.
For me, I've used the Community Future Wild Rose twice in business ventures for buying equipment. One was probably 15 years ago, one's about 10 years ago. Very, very easy to, if you have especially an existing business, to expand or get new equipment versus a bank. It was night and day difference, like unbelievable. The interest rates are a little higher, but I mean, it comes with what you're getting, right? So
Yeah.
What a success story. I mean, for $1 million originally and to have all this investment in the area and the different ways you diversify and help. I mean, it's not just this area. I mean, there's people from your Canna-Bisker
Yep.
that are on the board, and the board's very diverse. So it's really good for the whole region. So
Mhm.
I mean, I can't say enough. I direct people to, that are looking at business. Hey, have you looked at this and seen what's out there? And yeah, so
I appreciate that. Thank you.
it definitely helps us support our businesses without somebody coming straight to us.
Mhm.
I mean, so I really
Yes.
appreciate that. Yeah. Anyone else?
I just want to highlight that, man, I'm blown away by the original $1 million has grown to 40, or I don't know, would you say 92 million?
Yes.
Like, that's incredible. That's, you should have that in a banner somewhere. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And I also appreciate your input on the other matter we're talking about today, because you deal with business owners all the time, and to understand the tiers and Harold, that really helps us. Because that is, entry level jobs are the hardest to fill. I
Yep.
see that in across even what I did in trucking. It was hard to get somebody that just wanted to learn how to drive. They wanted to come in and get their class 1 right away and drive down the road. And we see what a failure that is right now.
Right.
But that's just the reality of it. And it takes, there used to be, in a lot of industries, there was some mentoring and like an apprenticeship, unofficial in farming. People learn on the job and they get better. And
Yep.
that's hard. But on the younger side, because I have young kids at home that are never going to leave now because there's no place to go. They want those higher paying jobs because that's the only way they see success. So they need to go out and get a manager's job or something right away because they can't afford a house unless they get that. So
Yeah.
it's that things. And I think on the county side, we see a lot of secondary developments on acreages and stuff, secondary homes. And there's a reason why. It's because that helps lower costs for people to have a place to live or rent or whatever.
Mhm. And further to Councillor Clayton's comment about the ag, I'm really hoping things like the Rural Academy will really, instill that want for the younger generation to continue employment after they finish school.
And because I changed some jobs recently, I mean, I could work 10 different places. And I try to encourage my kids, like, you need to look over here, you need to look over here, because there's so much opportunity out there for anybody that's willing to work.
Absolutely.
Like there's so much out there, and the workload's there. It's not going away. So
Yep.
anyways, thank you. Anyone else?
No, I'm just hoping that publicly, I don't know, I know you're well known in the region, but even with new business and new people coming in, that we just keep pushing the information out there, because you guys have a great story.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you today.
Thanks. Motion to accept as information.
So moved.
Motion on the floor. Any more discussion? Call the question. That's carried. So we're moving on to 3.4, and that is item in your agenda 7.8, a municipal water servicing connection for Redland. I got that right. Welcome. There's a lot of resolutions there.
Good morning, Council. Jose Podio Cuervo, Manager of Technical Services here with Administration, presenting the Municipal Water Servicing Connection for Redland. So just to summarize the background, Administration has been working with our engineers and residents to get water to Redland and to understand the different options for installing this infrastructure. We initially explored a local improvement tax, and then we explored a cost contribution agreement option. And now we are exploring a utility connection fee option, which establishes a connection fee in the master schedule of fees for residents to connect based on a few assumptions. So under this approach, the county would construct the municipal water servicing infrastructure required to provide services to the property line of an applicable property once the required connection fee has been paid. Individual residents would remain responsible for installing and funding the private service connection from the curb stop at the property line to their residence. This report, together with the recommended bylaw adoptions and council resolutions, establishes an overall framework for providing potable water servicing within Redland, including the associated infrastructure funding and cost recovery approach. If approved, the framework would allow administration the installation of the water servicing infrastructure should one or more community members request potable water servicing and pay the required connection fee to the county. So this report does not establish the utility rates. It only establishes the connection fee for connecting to the infrastructure. So onto engineering requirements and designs. As this project involves the installation of municipal potable water infrastructure, engineering oversight is required to ensure the system is properly designed, tendered, and constructed in accordance with applicable standards and regulations. So proceeding without engineering design and oversight could create various environmental, financial, and construction risks. Our engineers on this MPE have proposed Redland water system be based on a trickle fill servicing model. Under this approach, the property would continue to use their private cisterns for water storage, while the municipal water system would provide a continuous low rate supply of treated water to replenish the cistern as the water is consumed. This water would be provided by the Wheatland Regional Corp, WRC, transmission line in a manner similar to rural connections to that line. Because the system is designed to refill on-site storage over time rather than deliver peak household demand to each resident, a smaller diameter water main and less infrastructure is required compared to a conventional pressurized distribution system. MPE Engineering's MPE have developed a preliminary design shown in the figure 1 below and a cost estimate for a shared potable water distribution system intended to provide municipal water service to the Redland community. So figure 1, we have the common infrastructure and the service line connection. So the common infrastructure is what we kind of call the backbone with no service drops. So it's just the main pipeline, and then there's individual service line connections, and then there's the from the property line to the resident. So there's there's 3 different costs in there. So the proposed framework is designed to recover the capital cost of shared common water infrastructure through a connection fee based on the projected number of anticipated connections. The general cost categories considered is shown below. The proposed municipal water utility connection fee accounts for the common infrastructure costs and the individual service line connection costs. Private property connection costs remain the responsibility of each landowner. So we've done an analysis of the existing lots in Redland, and we've done an analysis of what could be connected to water or what could reasonably be connected to water. And based on this review, we've identified 10 properties within Redland that are either currently developed or with residences or at a stage of development where the water service connection may be contemplated. While some landowners have expressed interest in extending water services to properties containing only accessory buildings, administration's analysis for the purpose of this connection fee model is based on properties with residences or potential residences that are most likely to benefit from the water service. Although strong interest in pipe municipal water servicing has been expressed by the members of the community, only a limited number of property owners have indicated a willingness to proceed. And so the total number of eventual connections remains uncertain. Since the original estimate was prepared, administration has updated the cost to account for $2026, and that's shown in table 2. So this is what we call the common infrastructure or the backbone. Total estimate for this is $189,475. And then below this on table 3, this is the connection from the backbone to the property line, which is estimated at $3,975 on average. And then, yeah, again, from the property line to the house is the residence, would be up to the resident. So the way we broke this out is the common backbone would be divided by the total number of connections. And so that There's a few different scenarios here, depending on the total number of connections we want to assume will be made. And so this $189,475 cost would be divided by the total number of connections, but the individual service connection remains unchanged at $3,975. So in relation to the overall Redland water servicing infrastructure cost estimate, administration is aware that Redland residents previously obtained or were otherwise provided with a preliminary quote from a local contractor. We've done an analysis of that, and the quoted construction costs that were originally provided appeared lower, in part because of there were various engineering requirements and components included in the MPE Engineering's preliminary design that were not accounted for in the contractor's quote. Administration received a copy of the contractor's quotation and compared it against required infrastructure installation and the cost estimate. And we found that the pricing was substantially similar between the two estimates. So we're aligned on construction costs there. Under connection fee scenarios 2 and 3, additional users beyond the projected number of connections may choose to pay the required connection fee and connect to the system. In that event, administration recommends continuing to collect the same connection fee by previous landowners, paid by previous landowners connected to the line, with any surplus revenue placed into a Redland reserve fund. This reserve could be used to support long-term maintenance, system upgrades, and future expansions. Administration also recommends that the connection fee be reviewed regularly and adjusted as required to reflect changes in the construction cost indices over time. So there's 2 bylaw updates that we would need to modify to incorporate Redland. That's the Municipal Public Utilities bylaw and the Master Schedule of Fees. The Municipal Public Utilities introduces a new Schedule F, which is the requirements that I've basically just listed out for Redland to make this connection. And it includes some minor housekeeping amendments. And then the other one is the Master Schedule of Fees, which introduces a new connection fee for connecting to the Redland. The draft connection fee of $27,659 per connection is based on scenario 2 from table 4, which distributes the estimated infrastructure costs across 8 anticipated accounts. However, council may choose to establish a different connection fee in the bylaw. And that concludes my report, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Council questions. Councillor Hebbs.
I guess my very first thought is at, plus or minus 200 grand, that's like literally 2/3 of 1% of a tax increase. So my personal thought on this right now is this should be a budget item, not an ad hoc. My next thought is that the last time we discussed this, there was 3 people that so what would be wrong with having an MOU saying, look, if we do this, how many do we have? Because otherwise, if you only get 3 people, and that's not even on your model, and it was 3 that was shown before, the cost per home is huge, right? So then nobody's going to uptake it. The local residents aren't. And so then it just, I think this should be a budget item. That's my opinion.
Thanks. Councillor Kester.
Before I get started, I don't know if you're changes to the bylaw on page 956. Before I forget about it, it's a picture and it doesn't match up. That's not the drawing that you showed earlier. That's a previous drawing.
I can speak to that through the Reeve. That drawing, it does show the road allowances in red from the GIS system. But the purpose of that diagram is to show and define the serviced area within the bylaw with the yellow highlighted. And the red lines are just the roads. Yeah.
I thought they were the pipes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. So is there not a road allowance over to east a little bit more too? By John's house?
Through the chair, yes, there is a road allowance. What this does is just establishes what area that Schedule F of the bylaw applies to,
Okay.
which is the shaded area.
Okay, I just thought it would have been that other picture that would be clear. That's okay. And to back up this to the previous comments, people at Redland want the water. Some of the history, the tax increase for some of those people out there, they were looking at 4 properties at 25,000 a property. It was $100,000 to get 1 water. It was too exorbitant for them. The water line itself at one time was $300 and some thousand. They had water lines all over the place. Always the issue was they're willing to pay for their water. And I want to use an example of the plasterboard plant. They come here and nice place, nice country, nice people. I'll build here, but I need water. So the county, we got to work and we found a water license. We drilled a well, we put some pipeline in, and they paid for what they used. Total, no questions asked. County made it bigger and we'll sell it someday. We didn't ask the plasterboard guy to make it bigger. He just paid exactly for what he's using. Same thing here. They're willing to pay for their own. So it's built out for 10 residents, but we're going to charge them for the 8 residents one so we can have some extra money. No, just charge them for the 10 residents. Charge them the 22,000. And they paid for what they use. The county wants to build it bigger and they want 30 residents on there. That should be on to the county. They're individual house owners are not developers. So I like this plan. I like it. The cost isn't exorbitant. It's just a single line going around. Looks good. I would definitely support the 10 houses. I believe all 10 will get water. There's one that has more water than the rest, and I'm thinking with the difference of water, they'll be coming along, but the rest I'm sure will be getting water. The only thing I have a little bit is the contingency fee and the inflation fee. Those are variables to say the least. When this is all done, maybe the contingency fee we never used. And the inflation was less than, and maybe the total price was 170,000. I would like to see the 10 houses divided by the 170,000 to make it 17,000, if it works out that way. Pay for what they use, no different than what we did for the CGC. This is plastic pipe. The only thing that wears out are the curb stops, and with popper, I forget the word they use. Make sure they work once a year. They last a long time. The meters, they're paying for everything themselves, valves, everything. I don't think it's a big risk as far as infrastructure. And yeah, I think it's great. The price sounds reasonable to me. When they first come, they wanted help from the county. And it wasn't so much the price, it was to get the lines in, the road allowance, that none of them have a clear shot at it. And this way, the county has 1 line in the road allowance instead of 10, which is huge benefit for everybody involved. So I think it's great. And as far as making a budget item, this should be an in and an out. You put the water in, you'll get paid. They want water as soon as possible. They don't want to spend another winter hauling water. And people are hauling water there constantly, like weekly. It's not bad when it's Chinooking, but when it's 40 below and it takes all day to keep the thing from freezing up, and that's, yeah, no, I like it. Thanks for this. Thank you.
Counselor Hepps?
So just a thought, like the people in Redland were there before the water was. CGC came with an expectation that we would deliver the water. It's totally apples and oranges in my opinion, totally. Those guys were already there and they were already hauling water, and some of them have been for decades. As far as cost recovery, with only 3 people, I think if you're really serious about this, get an MOU and figure out how many people are truly interested in, because that really changes the equation. If only 3 people ever sign up for it, because those other people have been hauling water for decades, so they're comfortable with it. Are they going to really? And then there's, you know, I think we need way more certainty on this, and I do think it should be a budget issue, because I don't think that it's literally 2/3 of 1%. On the residential thing, it would change it from 3.5 to 4.18 or whatever that math is, if we use last year's budget calculation.
Just, I have a question. So we only have, in the report, it says we only have one confirmed person that will, or one lot that is confirmed they will take this if we pass it. Is that right?
There's one that's being built, but I heard it was sold on a builder's.
But I'm just, with administration, they've engaged the public several times. Like, I hear you, and I've heard this from a lot of people. And, but what they're saying to administration is something totally different than what they say to the counselor. So what do we, I guess, how much comfort, like, do we have the buy-in? Do we going to have all the buy-in to get this done, or?
Yeah, through the chair, saying one confirmed is maybe a little bit strong. We have had one ratepayer in the area who has consistently expressed interest, a strong interest for connecting. Many of the residents within Redland have expressed interest in connecting. What we have found is, between sort of the discussions with the residents and the town hall discussions that we have, a difference between that and how many people are interested in receiving water servicing, to where we get to the point, it's like, okay, well, here's the plan and here's the cost. It seems to, we get a lot more opposition or reduced numbers of people interested in connecting when it kind of comes down to the framework. So we have tried the local improvement tax option, and then we did go to individual cost sharing agreements, which would probably be similar to like an MOU. And the idea there was, for those that wanted to connect, we would gather up that group at that time. If it was 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, we would take the total cost of the infrastructure for servicing those individuals and then just divide it evenly across them. But that was contingent on basically having commitment from a set number of people to sign those agreements. When we took that to the community, we again got not a great favorable response with that approach. For various reasons, and so we've gone to this connection fee, and it is essentially with council now to make that decision of what is the right connection fee to set, and it is a prediction depending on how many people do we think will, and there's a risk, there's an inherent risk. Will it be 10? Will it be 4? Will it be 8? The amount that administration has recommended in the report is 8. That might be optimistic. I don't know. It might be low. We just don't know. But the kind of the point is it is a system that can get set in place, and then the ratepayers in the area can come and say, yes, I want to connect for that fee. If the county ends up collecting less money than what the actual cost is to connect, if we get, say, fewer connections, that is a risk to the county. If the county ends up collecting more for some reason, the thought is to put that surplus into a reserve that can help subsidize future either utility rates or maintenance or expansions to the system that might be required.
Thank you.
Just a curiosity, what is the viability of Redland? Is it growing, receding? What is, are we trying to do something that doesn't have any future or what? I'm just a little confused.
I can respond to that. I was actually through there a couple of weeks ago, and it's, you know, it's largely rural properties that have been there for a long, long time. I didn't drive right through it and find the new house under, but, you know, I drove through there respectfully at a fairly low rate of speed, so I wasn't dusting everybody out. It's a remote location, and I mean, it looks to me like there's not going to be a lot of uptake. Like, I think the MOU thing, then we know how many people are truly serious about it, right? Before we spend any real money.
I guess it's some reports it was a growth node years ago. There was a Dillon Consulting one. There's no infrastructure there other than the road. And the reason that this came forward is when we looked at running the water line to Rosebud, that was the least amount of environmental impact, because I was on the board when we made that decision. There was some people saying we went that way to pick up Redland. It just was the cheapest way to go at the time. And it had the least amount of environmental problems. So that gave the ability for Redland to hook up in the future. It's been talked about many, many times here. It seems to be, there's lots of talk, but when it actually comes down to signing something, nobody really wants to do that. But I'm okay with what is proposed here because it has a connection fee and it's very similar to how a lot of water co-ops run. The service is there, you want to hook onto it. And I think of Neho County when they put theirs in and they serviced every single lot, there was a taxation component to it and there's a hookup fee, and it's about the same price as this to hook up onto it. And then the rates apply after that. The only thing that's different with this right now is the rate is similar to like all our ratepayers, our water users in the county, whatever hamlet they're in or village or not village, hamlet, the rate's the same. And we've talked about having different rates in the future, and that could happen too. So, because some are just more expensive to run than others, to be honest. And like, if I look at this, WRC has a rate of around $6 a cube, and we're selling it for two and change. You know, it's a losing proposition. Some like the other taxpayers are subsidizing that, and that's across the board. Go ahead, Brad, and then.
So just a comment for council. It was in the report, but just to make sure council's aware, as far as the utility rates go for billing, the thought that's not covered in the report right now. But the intention is when finance team comes to council in the next couple months, I think sometime, for the annual review of utility rates. So the idea would, if council goes ahead with this system, that we would set the utility rates for Redland when council considers the utility rates for the other hamlets as well.
My computer, sorry.
Oh,
I just was wondering if something.
my hearing aids.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Councilor Clayton.
To get my head around it, it's something that is, you've got the line there right now, going by there, right? There's nothing that says that we have to do it right away until there's enough interest. And maybe it should be put on the back burner until there is interest. Just because it's not going to cost us anything, it's there. I'm just not sure why we would proceed with something that nobody's interested in. Sorry.
Fair enough. Councilor Kester.
It was a good comment. I know the interest is there. I know it's a cost that they were looking at with another contractor, same price, basically. It's what they asked for. I don't have a problem with it. If council wants to go and have staff because they talk to staff differently than counselors evidently. And if they would sign up for what they use. Because I know people already have paid contractors that put it in. I would be okay with that as long as we can get this water in before freeze up. I don't want to wait another year. That's been put in 8, 9 years ago. I've been asking. That water line cost $10,000 to put it through Redlands. It was less environmentally true on that, but it cost $10,000 to put it there for water. And if we could have by next meeting a commitment of however many people want it at what is it, 190,000, and they pay their share, only their share. Or the one guy that really wants water is the furthest guy away. And if he puts it in all himself, can he have an endeavor to assist so when other people come and sign up, he gets the money? But really, it's the county's job to be the contractor. We don't ask ratepayers to be a contractor and put in extra infrastructure. We don't do it in Galician. We didn't do it with the Plastibor place. Somebody wants infrastructure in Galician to pay for their own. It is quite a bit of money, but that's the way it is.
So hearing from counselors, some saying that we should have some buy-in and stuff. Is there a way that with administration that we could have it worded so we have a percentage of buy-in, say 40%, 50%, 30% before this moves forward? And that gives, you can go back to the residents and say, okay, this is approved. Here's the rates, here's everything. But it won't commence until we have this many. Is that something that's viable, or you're not recommending that, or? That might give some comfort for some counselors to support that.
Yeah, through the chair to council, administration, it sounds like something we could build into the bylaw. We'd want to take that back and take a look at it and make sure from a legal standpoint that it would work. But I think we probably could fit something like that into the bylaw. Just on first blush, but we'd want to check.
Through the council, for clarity, are you asking to get the buy-in before, without changing the bylaw, to bring it forward for further readings? Or did you want the bylaw with certainty that the construction wouldn't proceed until there was a certain percentage of buy-in?
Just so it doesn't keep coming back to us, we can set direction. And if that's how it goes and say there's a certain amount of buy-in, then it's all in place that way. Councillor Kester, if the buy-in's there, they can proceed faster, but it would give some councillors assurance that there was buy-in. Sorry, Councillor Bigger first.
I think I'd like to see some monetary buy-in, not just people saying, oh yeah, I'll get it. Maybe a $5,000 deposit that would go towards it. If the bylaw doesn't go through, of course, they get their money back, but he needs some monetary buy-in.
Or a signed commitment of some sort. It'd be a utility agreement commitment, which I think we have that stuff.
Yeah, to council through the chair. Yeah, what administration may even recommend in that case is just having a certain minimum number of people who have paid the full connection fee prior to going ahead with installing the infrastructure. But again, I think we could build something like that, and I just want to check on the legal side to make sure that there aren't any issues with it.
So you're Councillor Hebbs, and then I'll come back to you in a second.
I think the idea that we have to have it in before freeze up, respectfully to you and the one or two residents that are serious about it, I don't see the rush. I'll also say that we had an example right here in these chambers with the internet service that was proposed for Carsland Speargrass, and we never went through with it because there wasn't enough uptake was one of the reasons, right? So if we don't have the uptake, I know there's ratepayers in my area that are saying, we had to drill our own well. We had to put in our own sewer. We're not real keen. And I'm hearing it from some amount of them. So I don't think there's a rush. And I think we need way more clarity on what it's going to, on what the cost recovery is going to look like. Because if there's only one or two guys on it, we're out a fair amount of money. We're going to spend that this year. And we don't yet know what the tax increases look like. And that concerns me.
Councillor Larson.
Is Redland a hamlet?
Through the chair,
Consideration of this, whether it's official or not, because you can't compare the landowner with a hamlet.
we've been framing Redland as it is a community. Under the MGA, it wouldn't qualify as the designation of a hamlet itself. And that's why in this bylaw, we have highlighted this map in front of council now. It essentially defines the area of the community that the bylaw would apply to. So to answer your question directly, it doesn't qualify as with the title of hamlet per the MGA.
We're treating it as a hamlet.
We're treating it as a community.
Yeah, much as we would with Gleason, or so you can't make comparisons with myself, for example, that owns the land. Well, it's my problem if the well goes.
So looking to council here, I'm getting some, just one sec. I just want to get, is that what we want is to have a, do we get, it's kind of quick straw poll? Do we want some balance in there saying there's a percentage of ownership so we can give some direction here, or are we okay with it going ahead the way it is? Councillor Kester.
I just want to clarify. It's a hamlet. WRC won't give them, can't give them water because this council made a motion that they can't have water from WRC because it's a hamlet, and they'll get it with the county's approval. There are people there that would have put the water in for themselves from WRC, and they've applied and they were told no. Just across the train tracks, 3 people put in water here this last summer for about the same price. And they know what it costs to put water in. And it is no different than this. People want the water. They're living on top of it. They've been asking for 10 years.
Go ahead.
I think some of the difference between some of these is that we had developers that pay for the infrastructure. Even to go into Carsland, there was a developer that paid for that.
Councillor Clayton.
I'm willing to support it if we can get some indication that there's a buy-in. And if we can get that by the next council meeting, we could probably still get it done. I just would like to see that.
So that's 2, 3.
I agree with Councillor Clayton. I'm supporting of it, but I would like a more firm commitment, I guess, from the residents.
So following that train of thought, then what level of commitment? Is it 50%? Is it 25%? Is it 100%? Is it, what is, so we give some direction to administration so they can come back or work it into the wording of something. 50%? I'm comfortable with 50. Yeah. Okay, so to the question of administration, do we go with first reading with that recommendation? What would you prefer to see? As you're mentioning, you want to vet it through legal and stuff to make sure we get it all right.
Yeah, through the chair, CAO Bears and I were just discussing this and thought it might be best not needed to go through first reading, but just for council to give us a resolution to take it away and then come back with the additions or revisions that council would like to see.
And will we be able to bring that back towards the next meeting?
Yeah, I think I can commit to, we'd be able to do that.
Okay. So what resolution would you like to see? Do you want to word craft something for us? And that's, I'm just, what council's wishes are, so I want to see this, like, I mean, Councillor Kester and I, though I disagree on the 10 years, because I don't think it was quite that long, but it's there, it's up there. This has been talked to many different ways, and I see this as I honestly don't want to see this coming back again. I'd prefer to deal with it today, but if we do one more meeting and we get this done, I'm happy to support that, because I just want a course set and away it goes and let it happen. Because I sat on WRC board when this came originally, and there was some differences of how things were done and things like that. But this is ultimately the best solution, I think. But that's just my opinion.
Much the same as mine. If you remember the very first drawing you've seen of the picture of Redland, they had pipes going where there isn't even any lots or roads.
Yeah.
It's a map, and they had a lot of infrastructure there for $350,000. No wonder they said no. This is what they've asked for. Thanks for the support. We'll get your 50%.
Yeah.
You want it in person?
No, let them go to administration. I would suggest you to direct them to administration and sign. Okay, whatever. They're crafting it up right now, and it'll come to us so we can see it real quick. One other question while I'm looking at this. So I was looking on the ownership, and it says 18 Main Street is owned by us. But on page 9112 in the thing, it looks like there's structures on there. Is that a mistake? It looks like there's a house on our property. On page 912 in the agenda package. And underneath it says 18 Main Street is owned by the county. When I look down here, empty lot owned by Wheatland County. And I go to the it could be addressed wrong, but it looks like there's a house on it. We have it. Yeah, it looks like there's a structure there. I don't know. It doesn't have to be answered today. Yeah. I just wondered if. Yeah.
Just one hookup. There's only 2 hookups on the whole block there. There's only 2 people living there. The further away you get, then there's another one, and then on the very far one, there's 1, 2, 3 hookups.
And if we do,
Those are all new houses.
And if we do own a lot on Main Street, and maybe we should list it with someone and sell it, because I don't see as a need to have a residential lot in Redlands, but that's just me. I know we've talked about that in the past, about empty lots, liquidating them. Do we have
There's 4 owners there.
Yep.
That want water. They can't have it unless they get it through the county. The pipeline goes through their front lawn. They could get water for about $16,000 is what it would cost them. They've asked them that, but no. They got to go through the co-op. It's going to cost them $22,000. They'll still take it. Because that's the only way they can have it. Because county made a rule. It has nothing to do with WRC. They don't care how many hot taps go in there. And the biggest cost of a connection fee is the vault, and the vault is about $10,000. And with the group thing here, there's only 1 vault.
hello? We have a proposed motion? Almost, okay.
I don't want to talk anymore.
We're just waiting for some wording to give them direction. Yeah. I agree with you, Councillor Kester, that the main line runs through there, but as a municipality as a whole and a designated area, whatever you want to call it, hamlet, we have to be fair to everybody, and that's where it kind of got. Yeah.
I would never do anything different to any other place in the county that would want water. We have ratepayers live along the line and they've paid for it themselves. Never said no to anybody. Well, she's still working on it. Used to be a train track there. Used to be grain elevators there. That's a hamlet because of the train. The train's gone. And people are living there and people are building new houses there.
Go ahead.
Just for a point of clarification, the MGA says it's not a hamlet. I can't declare myself a hamlet, so it is not a hamlet. Period.
The county did.
So let's go back, folks. So we got a council direct administration to revive a draft bylaw to include a requirement for a minimum 50% landowner commitment in form of payment of the connection fee prior construction commencing and bring the revised the draft bylaw back to council for consideration in the next council meeting. Does that fit what council's wishes are? Does somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion is on the floor from Councillor Kester as read. Any further discussion? I will call the question. That is carried. Is there any need to do any other further readings, or we're just going to put this all to the next time we come back?
Through the chair, all of the both bylaws as well as the resolution kind of need to get passed together. So there is no need.
Okay, fair enough. So this is put to rest for now. We'll come back at a future council. Hopefully next council meeting, you come back and you have 75 or 80% ownership and we're good to go. I really truly hope that happens and we get some servicing there and never put this behind us. So where am I at the agenda now? So we are on to consent agenda. We have a number of stuff from 5.1 to 5.19. Go ahead.
I would like to pull out 5.16 and move it to 5.16, the WTMB correspondence. Move it to
Just business arising.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5. What about 5.7? There's a letter as well with that previous. Did you want both or just the one?
Sure.
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to pull out and discuss?
Could we also pull out the True North Society groundbreaking invitation?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's quite a lot of stuff in there. Correspondence. Does anybody, the withdrawal of the membership, we might be talking about that in another item as well. Stars donation receipt, orphan well. Yeah. About, we should do, maybe pull out 5.19 too, because just a brief thing on the parade and that kind of stuff. It's because they sent a thank you letter. So I'm looking at 5.7, 5.13, 5.16, and 5.19. Someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Hey, that works. Okay. We'll get it up for us to vote here in a sec. Yeah, after we vote on this, we'll take a short break. Shanna's typing feverishly. Yeah, we are pulling 5.7, 5.13, 5.16, 5.19. Okay. Cool question. That's carried. There is a request for a short break, so let's come back at 11:26. And we're resuming the council meeting. We are pulled out several items for new business, so we're looking at 5.7. Oh no, sorry. Deputy LaPriest caught me and said that we have to, except for information, the rest of the Correspondence.
So I will move that we accept the rest of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Mean to Russia. If you're getting a coffee, go ahead. Okay. I'll call the question. When you're ready. Oh, I guess I have to vote. That's carried. So out of that, we have item 5.7. The one letter from WHMB, and I just figured it was part of the continuing thing. Hang on. I got to get up into the package here. 5.7. Page 776 in the package. So this one, basically, I pulled it. I'll just say, said that they're applying for the AHPP, right? Our Seniors Lodge Monitored SLMP program. There's so many of these things. And then set some costs. But that was just kind of a lead into, this was dated June 30th and basically said they're going to continue on. And that's the direction from the board. I would take it. Okay. Any questions on that? Yeah, 5.7, which is the letter from the Lodge project update that we got earlier in July. Or into June, I should say. Go ahead.
I guess the letter is moot now because unfortunately we were turned down, right? So those two revenue streams have appeared to have gone away. We don't qualify. There is no lodge hospice under this particular letter.
It's just a matter of informing the council on what's proceeded, and they changed. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they were supposed to give us an idea by the end of April what the application was. About mid-May, they changed where we were actually going to be, under what column of the Alberta health system we were going to be conducted under, and said, be patient, we'll let you know what happens. And then it wasn't until last month that they let us know that we didn't get the thing, but we're going to actually meet for some clarification with them to see what is the next steps. And that's going to be tomorrow at 1 o'clock, just to find out right from the horse's mouth is what was actually happening, because right now we don't know.
Sorry, and who were you meeting with then? Is that the board? Like, is somebody from the application process or? Okay.
Building committee and the consultant and
Erica.
And Erica, she's a finance person, works for the ministry.
Okay.
And we haven't had a board meeting yet either, so the board hasn't set direction. So we can give you the information, what we got, but we haven't had a board meeting since, so there's been no direction set till we have the board meeting, but the information as we got it, you have. I can't say what we're going to do next because we haven't had a board meeting.
Okay. I anticipate there'll be some more questions when we get to 5.16, but for now 5.7 I think is covered. Let's move on to 5.13 True North Society groundbreaking invitation.
Yeah, and I just think this is a really important thing that some of us maybe should attend. I would like to. And I know we often do this wrong, that we ask for forgiveness and per diems after the fact, but maybe I'll make a motion that
I don't know if we have to.
Do we not have to? Oh, groundbreaking. Oh, yeah.
It's covered.
Oh, okay. It would be
If we're invited to something, it's automatic.
a groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I just would encourage anybody to come who's available that day. Mhm.
Thank you for that. Also, yeah, I definitely want to go to this. And then that same day is also the topping off ceremonies for Shasta as well. There was some emails going around. I don't know if all council got invited to that or not. Okay. It's the same day, it's earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon. One of the two. Yeah. And
True North, I believe,
Is 11 to 1.
is on the 26th, no?
yeah,
And Shasta is the 27th, no? I got that wrong in my calendar.
Okay. I could have got missed. I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
We could, but I did talk to our local MLA and she suggested that Minister Newdorf might be in the area for this one at the same time. There might be an opportunity, to sit with council. And I talked to her about it and I said, well, why don't we have Strathmore there as well? If there's a lapse in time, we might utilize our facilities or Strathmore's facilities to just have a sit down with the minister and maybe help out or find out some more information. So that's just something that's very, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but they're going to try. So. Yeah. Go ahead.
Do we need some consensus amongst ourselves before we talk to Newdorf, or do we?
I don't know if it's going to happen or not right now. I wouldn't count on it, but it could not. It could happen in a very short period of time. It'll just be kind of an informal thing. Just wanted to give you a heads up. It might happen. It might not. It's out of our control to dictate that. Right.
But I do agree with Councillor Hubbs that if we are talking to him, we need to have a council direction, not
Yeah.
just a person, on.
For sure. Yeah, it'd be a discussion with everybody. Nobody leading or anything like that, I don't think, but yeah. Okay. Well, if I get confirmation of it or anything or further, I'll let everybody know, but yeah, that's all I can do. Good. It was just offered if he was in the area, would we be interested? And I said, sure, like, why not? Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. Anything else on that one? All right, we'll move on to 5.16. This is the lodge project update and the funding. Go ahead, Mr. Hibbs.
So we have the letter from Wheatland Housing Management Body. I think that it's, we've been after this for quite a while. I guess my question would be, how come as council and as a large funder of this, we didn't get the actual letter just CC'd for us? Like, could we get a copy of the letter that the government sent us? That sent to the board? Did they give you any reason this time? Like, so yeah, it'd be, yeah.
We'll be able to feedback a lot more, maybe a lot more after tomorrow, but
Yeah, but in all, if you don't know, then what, if we don't know, they're going to have to give us some direction because we don't know what we're doing, right? Like, right? Like we're here today and I don't know how many of our ratepayers know that it's been denied. Is it on the Lodge website or it's on Lodge's website?
We usually do a board meeting to put stuff on the website. That's just the way it is. We don't ask council here to put stuff on the website before a council meeting. It's just.
So when is your board meeting? Just because I got people asking, right? I mean, there's the rumors out there, right, that it's been turned down. I can tell people we have formal letters saying it has been turned down. You know, there's a fair tax commitment from county residents, so they want to know.
Yeah, after the board meeting, to have an update through the website or whatever, like the board has reviewed it. They're going the same direction or they're going back to the drawing. It's just something I hope hope that comes back. Yeah.
When we have direction, we'll know a little bit more after tomorrow what the province is up to, but if it's been previous. And then our associate, our person we've hired to crunch all the numbers, yeah, he has to come up with something. Then by that time, we'll probably have a board meeting and we'll be meeting with councils. I don't know what the board will be deciding. I got a good idea why it was turned down, and but I don't know for sure. It's just my.
You don't normally meet in the summer, I think. Do you think you'll have a special?
Mhm.
I think I'm not sure. If I'm going off my memory, you don't normally meet in the summertime for,
No, we
so, but you'll have a special meeting probably in August, or do you think it's going to wait till September?
It'll be coming up in September. If we have a special meeting, our CAO is on holidays now. And there's a couple other irons in the fire, and if they come through, we'll have a special meeting. If not, we'll just wait till September.
I think it'd be great for the board to come back with some kind of information back for everybody, because this has been going on for a long time, and if it's
Yeah.
possible to move forward or not. So, yeah. Anything else?
I'm not happy with the process, but that's what it is.
Okay.
There's no use saying something when you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real hazard. So.
Any further discussion on that topic?
And we did let people know on the Wheatland Hospice Society website, so thanks.
5.19, just the correspondence from Strathmore Parade, Tyler Hiller. We were in the parade. It was probably the biggest one I've ever seen, because by the time we were done, I didn't even see the fire trucks at the end. So usually you see them and you know that's the end, but it was amazingly big. And Premier Smith was there as well. We did have a good brunch with Premier Smith and not many MLAs that I saw. There was a few MPs there. So good discussion, some business owners and stuff. So it's always a good success. Strathmore's and the Ag Society have definitely stepped it up, and there's a lot of community leaders there, and it sounds like next year the Premier is going to come back again, and they're trying to keep that going. And I just want to say thanks to the Ag Society and for the parade, and it's a nice thing to be involved in. It's Strathmore Showcase, but for us to be included, and I know the county spends some in-kind donations with the Ag Society, and it's nice to be part of the whole thing. And I thank my runners for delivering candy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to participate in the parade, but I was close to the front, so I did see the fire trucks. They were just going as we finished, so it was like a full route parade. It was pretty good. Thanks. Yeah, I was driving my truck. Handing out candy. I didn't hand out any candy, though. I had kids doing that.
So any other discussion on that?
Just like to thank staff, for their input in it. There was some extra time spent getting the truck ready and bringing in some bales and coordinating all that. And I think the candy procurement team, because we handed a lot of it out. So thank you to the staff.
It's astonishing how expensive diabetes is to hand out. Coming from a diabetic.
Yes.
And thank you to Brad as well for driving for us. It's good. Yeah. in the brand new county truck. So, yeah. We put miles on, didn't put any dents in it, so we're good. Yeah. Anything else on that? Not seeing, we don't have to do a motion to accept his information because we discussed those ones. So we'll move on to item 7.1. Unsightly rail sites. Who's speaking to that? Are you speaking to that?
Yeah.
That's yours?
Sure. Yeah. So I asked to have this being brought up. Our CPR rail site is actually in town, right on Main Street. And I know we ask a lot of other developers about landscaping and unsightly things to keep it from the public being able to see. I mean, there's loads of gravel, there's ties being old ties and new ties, and like it's an industrial site, so there's a lot of junk laying around. I meant to bring some pictures and send them to Brad, but completely forgot. But I think that we need to look at this and find out what we can do. I know it is the CP, but I'd like to see it. And maybe they're unaware, and if we don't complain, but there are residents complaining. So maybe they just need to be made aware that that it is being unsightly, and maybe put up some screening. We do that. We make other people do that. I don't know why we're not making the CP rail do that.
Councillor Hibbs and Deputy Reed.
I think Councillor Bigger makes a very good point. And the other thing is most of those ties are still cedar and they're covered in creosote. So the fire danger is extreme, right? Like the fire danger and CPKC, and I don't know if I can say that legally, but they've had some fires along that track.
Yeah, I'd agree. In Clooney, along the railroad there, they have stockpiled huge amounts of creosote covered railroad ties. And I've had residents complain as well that it's a risk for sure. It's dangerous. It's also very unsightly. And I honestly, they've got to have a better way of dealing. They can't just stockpile that stuff everywhere and just leave it forever. I mean, they must have a plan. But I do understand that it's very difficult to actually speak to somebody there and have anything done. So we need to build a relationship, or we need to find a contact that we could actually, because I believe that our previous CAO actually tried to contact CP Rail about that 3 years ago, maybe, and for the Clooney issue, and got nowhere basically. So I do think that we need to try and reach out to them and actually find a contact that we can communicate with on a more regular basis.
Councillor Clayton.
Yeah, it is difficult to get a hold of some of those guys. We used to be able to talk to the president of CPR, but haven't done that for a lot of years. The one thing that could happen is a request of our administration through to CPR to have any stockpiles removed completely from any towns and put on the new sidings that they've got. They've got lots of areas now within the county to keep that stuff not in town. So I would suggest that we would ask them to do something like that.
I don't want to take away the fact that it should be screened. There was posts of Carsland visitors. They were, I don't know, having a smoke break around them. Like there's been lots of people going in there, kids playing around in there. I really think they need to screen it, make it private, and maybe our communication needs to be done with some fines.
You'd start out with a complaint first and they do an investigation, that kind of process. Councillor Kester.
Years ago, we had a big stockpile in Redland. And it was actually in a riparian area. and we notified CN. And you know, it was gone within a week. So look at the environmental considerations. If you have a drainage course there or something, creosote and drainage, huge cleanup costs. If you approach it, oh, it just looks bad. But if there's some other reason, like put money to it, cleanup costs, things might happen a little easier. But I was happy with the cleanup. Every little stick was gone.
So does administration need a motion to do it, or do you need a complaint from the councillor, or just?
So we agree to council, unless you want to keep it on the tracker, we actually don't. We'll look into this and we can provide an update, a departmental update when we have more information and actions that we can take.
Just on a note, I remember a long time ago, I was a weed inspector for a municipality and we took a course. And the only place that you go see all the prohibited, like all the bad stuff, was downtown Calgary. In like they have everything like it, and that wasn't right in the hardest city of Calgary. We're taking this course and it's, oh yeah, you can see this over here and over here. And we're all taking an inspection course and we walked away and those were still there because we could do nothing about it. It's interesting, but for sure we need to look into it. The only way you change is if you try, right? So yeah. Awesome. Anything further on that? Nope, no motions, right? Okay. 7.2 Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. We had a little talk about this before, so.
Good morning, Council. Sherry Bars with Administration to present a recent request for Wheatland County to consider participating in the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program Rural Renewal Stream. This request also included a draft application materials, which was brought forward by an individual working in the county's agricultural sector who is interested in the county pursuing the program. Administration has reviewed the request and the province's current program requirements and the work previously undertaken by the county on this program. I'll provide a little background and considerations that have led administration to its recommendation. At a high level, the Rural Renewal Stream is intended to help rural communities address labor shortages by attracting and recruiting eligible foreign workers. A designated community works with employers to identify labor needs, recruit and assess candidates, provide community endorsements, and help coordinate settlement supports for newcomers and their families. It is important to note that this is not a funding program. There is no direct funding to the municipality, and the province does not compensate communities for recruitment costs. Participation involves considerably more than submitting an application. The province requirements contemplate an eligible economic development organization or development officer serving as the lead applicant in partnership with the participating community. There would also need to be participating employers, a process for candidate recruitment and endorsement, and a settlement and newcomer support model. Those responsibilities would continue after designation and include employer coordination, candidate review, settlement supports, communication, privacy, and records management. This is not a new issue for the county. Council previously considered the program in 2022 and directed administration to review the requirements, consult with participating municipalities, regional partners, and explore whether a regional approach could be developed. As part of that work, administration consulted with Community Futures Wild Rose, Strathmore Wheatland Chamber of Commerce, and the town of Strathmore. That review identified a significant ongoing administrative commitment and collaborative regional approach was not pursued. The recent request prompted administration to revisit the program, but the fundamental issues still remains. We do not currently have a formally identified lead economic development organization or officer, committed municipal or regional partners, participating employers, or an established administrative and settlement framework to support such program. The issue is not whether the program could have value, as it potentially could be useful for labor force attraction tool for the county and local employers, but whether the county has the structure and capacity to deliver it effectively, and sustain the responsibilities that would come with such designation. So administration's assessment is that we do not. For those reasons, administration does not recommend proceeding with a community designation application at this time. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Council's wishes. Oh, Councillor Clayton and then Deputy Reed.
Yeah, no, it was my initial shot at requesting Sherry to take a look at it, and I appreciate you doing that. The young lady that approached me through a local person who was needing labor, she did a wonderful job putting things together and went to the various feedlots and all that kind of stuff that would support doing that. She's trying to get her immigration status from Netherlands. And that's what started it all, just for a background. And so we took a try to see if we could give her a hand in being able to make it happen. I appreciate you going through that. Thank you.
So I also had a business in my area that had asked me about this, and I directed them to administration, and I also directed them to Community Futures to look at how they can solve their employment issues. But for me, first of all, I'm opposed because I don't think that our administration, we want to invest money in having a person responsible for administering this. But also our county is not set up to, we don't have the social services available to help people with housing and with doctors and education and getting them language assistance, all of those things. And so what happens is you would, an employer would have somebody move here, and if they even said, oh, well, I could provide them housing, this person is completely beholden to this employer. And I think the opportunity, the risk to that employer, to that employee, having that employer responsible for everything in their life, I'm opposed to the idea of it, that they're here for a 2-year period with the promise of citizenship, but in those 2 years, that employer pretty much dictates their life. And I think you need more services involved so that people won't be taken advantage of.
Councillor Habs.
I could actually help you with some of that. With all of those immigration and even the TFW streams, there's actually, they're provided on arrival. I think even before they come, with a direct line to the consulate. So if somebody's truly, you hear about it in some of the other provinces, but I'm sure here, I know of feedlots and large honey producers that, use TFWs and have tried to make the immigration thing work. And I think it's way better left to the private sector. They know what their specific needs are, and they have the contacts. And it's actually relatively easy if you have a feedlot or any type of ag producer that wants to bring them in.
Thanks. Looking for a motion. You want to make a motion? Councillor Larson. That helps.
There we go. I will move that council direct administration not to proceed with an application for Wheatland County to become a designated community under the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program Rural Renewal Stream.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Any discussion? I'll call the question. That's carried. I'd like to do one more before lunch real quick. Let's do the ratified attendance at ASB summer tour. I think that'll be pretty straightforward. Is anybody speaking to it, or you?
I'll just make the motion and then we can discuss if necessary, but I will move to ratify per diems and mileage for counselors who attended the ASB summer tour It was a fantastic tour and well worth our time, but I do think that it was a part of our job to be there, and so we should be compensated.
Yes, I'll support that motion. It was good to be a host. It was good to, but you take time from other things to do it, along with staff that did a tremendous job of helping, and everything worked out really well. Amazing feedback from people for as small as it was. They really liked that, and wasn't overwhelming to move people around. So anyone else? Call the question. That is carried. Let's break for lunch and come back. I just saw the truck. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I got good peripheral vision. 45 minutes enough time, or do we want an hour? 45? Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so we'll come back at 12:45. Hello, everyone. We're resuming council meeting. We're going on item 7.4, Lakes of Muirfield, Western Irrigation District boundary adjustment. I have two gentlemen coming to the microphone. Fill us in on the information we don't know. Welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon, Council. So this item is actually dealing with two items. One is the boundary adjustment, and then another is the request for park space. They're for the same land, so that's why it's the same thing. So I'll do the part about the, sorry, this isn't the right page here. There we go, page 880. So I'll do the part about boundary adjustment. Dave Ryan will do the part about the park space. So page 885 has the map in question. And what this item concerns is the area in blue is a access right of way for the Western Irrigation District Canal, which you can see here. So that's their way of accessing those lands. Currently, that blue area is part of the lots here in question. So these are owned by the county currently to be sold in the future for residential development. So this is in Lakes of Muirfield and Cell 1 of Direct Control District 7. So in other areas of the Lakes of Muirfield, we've noticed that there have been issues with having these based on an easement. There's been some encroachment issues, people building retaining walls, using those areas so that it prevents WID from actually accessing their lands. Also creates some drainage issues with the changing the slope towards the canal. So as such, we're proposing to have a boundary adjustment for these 6 lots adjacent to the canal. So essentially the blue area would change from this kind of northwest line to this southeast one, being the new property line. That would give WID full access, full and unfettered access to their lands in the future. So in terms of the changes to the parcels themselves, it's approximately 0.11 acres in total. There's 6 lots there. Some of them obviously don't change very much, others a little bit more, but all in all, the range of the parcel sizes are just under 600 square meters to 737. So those are kind of right in the middle of what the expected ones are for Cell 1 of DC7. So as such, for this, we are recommending that Council direct administration to proceed with the boundary adjustment to adjust the boundaries between these parcels and the Western Irrigation District Canal lands. And I'll hand it over to Dave.
Thanks, Afternoon Council. Dave Ryan, Administration. The Lakes of Muirfield Homeowners Association requested a centrally located park site within the subdivision for development for a small tot lot with playground equipment. The attached letters in the package. The area they're looking at is lot 27 on the kind of the corner there, Muirfield Boulevard and Muirfield, what's that, Crescent? Crescent. So they're looking at just adding this playground space next year, and kind of outlined in the report all the financial kind of implications and everything else kind of with that tot lot. Originally, Lakes of Muirfield was planned as a more of a seniors kind of development. It was only a golf course was the only kind of recreation and pathways, but it has kind of morphed into more of a family-oriented community where these playgrounds are kind of in demand. the closest one is 3 kilometers to lay out the hall kind of thing. So just kind of a context of how far it is to any playground equipment. And that concludes my presentation. Available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Hebbs?
This, I saw, I believe I read that it's about $150,000 for the playground equipment. And then there'll also be some ancillary costs on top of that. And as well, that's a corner lot and very desirable. This is another one of those things that I think potentially should have been in the budget rather than be addressed, you know, because it could be a couple $100,000, right?
The 150,000 is the total cost, so it'd be cost shared. Is 50% is kind of the policy. So the I don't think there's going to be that much development costs on that. Like the 150 should cover kind of the county's end of that. There might be a little bit of grading, but I don't think there'll be that much. The site's usable kind of for the playground as it is.
Thank you. And so what do we value that lot at? Like, what's that lot worth? It's got to be another 100, isn't it?
Through the Reeve to Council, we don't have the estimated cost for all of these lots at this time because we know what they were sold when we originally sold them, but we don't know what the current rate is for these lots that are being resold.
And also that lot's not currently serviced, I don't think, with water and sewer, so those sunk costs aren't in there. Like anything on the Muirfield Boulevard, that's all future. So there's I believe some mains that go through there, a sanitary and a water, but there's no service lines. So it's hard to value. Go ahead.
I agree that with this actually. So Speargrass had a retirement development. They never actually left any lots for a park. So when Speargrass switched to family owned, pretty a lot of family, then they had to go and find a place where we could put a park. And now it's way far away from the housing. So this is good planning. And I think, I mean, we are the developers now. We should be responsible about thinking of families. And I think a corner lot is actually better, although it should be fenced, for the fact that just more accessibility and not in between two different homeowners.
I had a question. We had approved a playground lot somewhere else. Is that still going to get developed that way, or is this instead of?
Through council, the Reeve to Council, yes, within the Phase 2C, there is a lot that was pie-shaped that we redesignated the direct control district to allow that it could be used as a tot lot. It is not currently designated that way, as it will have to be amended when Phase 2C proceeds. But it doesn't mean that we need to proceed with that as a tot lot in the future if the tot lot goes here, or the playground, depending on the age group that they're targeting for this playground.
There was a tot lot in the past. The HOA had ran it and it was on golf course property and they asked to remove it, and it wasn't the standard that we would have, the playground standard, so that was removed. So there's just nothing there now. Go ahead.
Just a curious question. The corner lot like this, sometimes a playground, you like to protect it away from cars and vehicles and all kinds of stuff. Is that something that should be looked at ahead of the games instead of putting kids on a corner that's got traffic coming from two directions going around a corner? It's just a question.
The law would probably have to be fenced. It is a 30-kilometer zone as well. It would probably be signed as a playground zone. I don't think there'd be that big of an issue with the traffic on that site.
The kids toboggan on the other side in the wintertime because there's a really steep down to the canal. They're there all the time.
So how much did we spend over at the hall? Because, you know, there's probably some homes that are still closer to the hall than, and I know we did put a pathway in, and we put some bridges in, and like, we've spent a fair amount of money there. And I think that didn't the county buy 20 acres and then have done a lot of money on in kind and are continuing to do so? So we've spent a fair amount of money there.
Through the chair, that's correct. There was just recently $100,000 that went towards that project, and then there's some in-kind work. And I can't speak to, I think there was some other for financing of, or some financing of the land part of the purchase price of that as well. So that, yeah, there was some definitely significant funds towards that project.
So this came about, there was a portion of land up against the North Road, and there was a sliver of land, and they'd asked if they could do like a pump track or something and some kind of tot lot, but it was just against a rural county road, and it didn't really make sense. And then administration had looked at this, and because of the boundary readjustment, that's not really a buildable lot anymore. So that's where it came from. My question is, how come it took us so long to realize we were in the right of way? Like, this was all engineered 20 years ago. The canal has been there. How do we miss that? With all the surveying and everything, like that's nothing's changed. Like, they haven't expanded their boundaries.
Through the chair, it wasn't missed. The blue area is the right of way easement area.
Yeah.
So the lot extended the full distance, and then they recognized that they needed the access whenever it was subdivided. So they had an access easement. So the idea was that the landowners would technically own it and could use the land, but they had to keep it open for the WID to access.
That's the fringe area there. Yeah. Okay. Now, other question is, we're doing boundary adjustments or whatever right now. Is that lot too big? Or should we look at that size? Is it appropriate size for a playground for a tot lot, or do you need something smaller? I was just thinking we could make 128, 129, and 130 bigger if we needed to or whatever. I don't know if you guys considered that already. I have no idea. If you need that square footage.
Through the chair, that lot 127 is big enough to do the playground that the community
Is it too
was
big?
looking for. Pardon?
Is it too big for a playground?
No. You want to have setbacks from the other residents as well. You don't want the playground right against like the 128 kind of thing, right? As well.
So in the future, we might have to share costs with the build on 128 for a fence or something, or screening or something like that.
Or,
Pretty normal.
well, or maybe it doesn't need to come to us. Maybe that's. The motions right now are not, they're not asking for money today.
No, I'm just thinking in
Yeah.
the future when it's done, hopefully a developer finishes it. Yeah. Anything further? Any questions? Go ahead.
I do think, like, they're not asking for money today, but we really should figure out the value of the lot. Because if we're cost sharing and it's 150, so we're in it for 75, but the lot's worth 100, we're in it for 175.
Through the Reeve to council, and Mr. Rhymes can confirm this, but this lot wouldn't be given to the homeowners association. It would remain as a Wheatland County property, and the land designation would change to allow for the playground, but it would still remain under county ownership.
And they're paying half, roughly.
I think Councillor Hebbs is considering that we would lose the potential income from selling it to private.
The real cost.
Mhm.
Anything further? Council's wishes? Oh, go ahead, Councilor Kester.
I guess if you look way into the future and going down Councillor Hebb's point of view, we could sell it to a new buyer and he subdivides it and we take our 10% and that's our 10% and we got paid for it and we still got the lot. So yeah, it is a cost to us. And we're spending a lot of money. I got other comments, but I wasn't ready to bring them up today.
Through the Reeve to council, the municipal reserves on phase 2 has already been taken. So it was paid cash in lieu. That's correct. There is no outstanding reserves, and those lots are created. They just haven't been developed. So there are individual titles. So any changes to the lot lines would require a boundary adjustment or a new subdivision plan.
So I'll move resolution 1 that council directs administration proceed with the boundary adjustment to process for the Western Irrigation District canal access lands as outlined in the report. Any discussion on the motion? Absolutely.
On the canal, that meant so the kids could go swimming in there? How are you going to keep them out of the canal?
There's a fence around it for the most part. There's signs that say no swimming.
We're talking kids.
Same as Strathmore. I mean, it's a main canal going through there. Yeah, there'll be a fence. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Anyone else? I will call the question. Just number 1, yeah. That's carried. Council's wishes, go ahead.
Move that council direct administration to proceed with a redesignation application for lot 127, block 11, plan 22112277 to allow for the proposed community park.
Thank you. Motion on the floor, discussion. I don't think it hurts to have a rough idea what that lot cost is, and we can let them know that could be part of our contribution to the thing too. I don't know if that's acceptable. I mean, some communities using kind by donating the land to certain things. I don't think it hurts to have that information. A rough estimate. I wouldn't say have an appraisal done, but I don't know if that helps anyone. Yeah. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. That's carried. So we have a 1 o'clock appointment and it's in camera, correct? Okay. So council, do we want to just do the one thing in camera or do we want to do them all in camera and then come back and finish council? Council's wishes, whatever you want to do. We can go in or out, or it's easier for us to go in and stay in. Yeah. I'll make a motion for us to go in camera at 1:02 p.m. and call the question when available. Yep. Let's get her done. Would administration be okay with us doing all those in camera right away? Okay, perfect. You must vote. That is carried. Should I call us back in? We're good? Okay. Welcome back, everyone. We're back from in-camera likely discussions, potential motions arising from in-camera. Bueller. Oh, it's going to come up on the screen. Everyone can see that. Anyone want to make the motion? Councillor Hebbs.
I'll move that council accept the West Highway 1 Industrial Area Municipal Servicing Report from administration as information.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Any discussion? I'll call the question. When we were in there, yeah. That was 2:30 out of camera, Shanna. Okay.
Chinese dentist time. 2:30.
Everybody must vote. That's carried. Thank you. Second motion on the screen. Councillor Clay.
Move that council authorize the Reeve and Chief Administrative Officer to sign the gravel pit lease agreement for portions of the lands located at Northwest 27, 23, 20, west of 4, for a 5-year term commencing September 8, 2026 for the purpose of gravel production for the county road maintenance activities.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. And that's carried. Councillor Bigger.
The council approved the draft hauled wastewater offloading and treatment agreement between Wheatland County and the town of Strathmore. Direct administration to finalize and execute the agreement, including any non-substantive revisions negotiated with the town prior to execution, and authorize administration upon execution to commence hauling Lake Samir filled wastewater to the Strathmore wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you. Motion on the floor. Discussion. I'll call the question. That's carried. That is all the business arising from in camera. So we return back to regular agenda and we are on item 7.5, request from Rocky View to send a resolution, second resolution for fall RMA. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council. Amy Zalewski presenting on behalf of administration. Wheatland County has received a request from Rocky View County to second a proposed RMA resolution for the Central Zone 2 meeting that will be held in October. Deadlines for submissions for resolution to Zone 2 is September 2nd. A council resolution is required for the municipality that is seconding the motion. The proposed resolution, which is attached to your report, is proposing advocacy to the government of Alberta to assist with better electricity infrastructure planning to deal with municipal growth readiness. The draft resolution asks the government of Alberta to review the Electric Utilities Act and related provincial mandates to ensure that AESO, the Alberta Electric Systems Operator, transmission facility owners and distribution utilities incorporate municipal statutory plans and growth forecasts into electricity planning. It also calls for a better engagement with municipalities into the planning, including regular information sharing on load forecasts, constrained areas, planned upgrades, and infrastructure timing. As we know, power availability is becoming a key factor in industrial, commercial, and other employment generating developments across the province, and is becoming a potential constraint to that type of development. And some municipalities have started to experience situations where they approve industrial proposals and then they can't get the required power allotment from AESO. So this could result in severe delays and investment uncertainty. So this issue is very relevant to Wheatland County and other rural municipalities, and therefore administration is recommending that council support seconding Rocky View County's resolution for consideration by Central Zone RMA. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Council questions? I just have one about this, and you kind of answered it that it is relevant to us, but wouldn't there be some onus on the developer as well to engage to find out, like, there's no power available, so why are you developing?
To the chair, yes, there is. What I know of an example in Rocky View County where they approved a large data center facility and the developer had been promised power through AESO and then their application got denied after the land use was rezoned. So there is the onus on the developer, but I think that if we can advocate for better pre-planning with the province on areas in the province where we see potential large industrial developments going, the Goldfinch Area Structure Plan area would be a good example in our county. I think that could help with some of that pre-planning and maybe avoid that kind of issue.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? Council's wishes? Oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that council agree to second Rocky View County's resolution titled Electricity Infrastructure Planning for Municipal Growth Readiness for consideration at the Central Zone Rural Municipalities of Alberta meeting and if endorsed at the Fall 2026 Rural Municipalities of Alberta Convention.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion? If this is approved, I'd like some little notes, because if I got to stand up and second it and someone asks me a question, I need to be able to know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Some brief.
Through the Reeve, I'll write you your key messages. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Rocky View is not always successful in these things, especially on the ag side. It never works that well, eh? That's carried. Thank you. 7.6, Rosebud Community request for permission to install power and Christmas light display at County Park property. Mr. Dave.
Good afternoon, Council. Dave from administration, presenting the Rosebud Community request for permission to install power and a Christmas light display at the County Park property. This request kind of includes two components, one of the installation of the power service at the picnic shelter, and then enough power to supply Christmas light display kind of down in the bowl. With the new pathway that the county's putting in there, they're up on top of the bank. They're looking at not having people go down by the display, but just kind of overlooking the bowl kind of thing. That was kind of the plan, and it was kind of also a community project with both the Rosebud Theatre and the Rosebud Community Enhancement Society. So I can answer any questions the council may have on this request.
Thank you. Questions? Have they considered solar as an option? Because I know there's some really good solar stuff now that does really good lighting.
I think they're looking at for the picnic shelter having power anyway for other like community events and hot chocolate and those type of things. So I think it's not just the lights. That was kind of one of the components as well, but having power for events and that too.
Councilor Hibbs, and then I believe Councilor Clayton. No?
I just a question for staff. I thought the way I read it is that Rosebud themselves would put the one power in and then the county would be on the hook for putting the other one on. Is that correct? And then what would it cost the county? Thanks.
No, there could be, the community groups could be on hook for all of it, all the installation and the power costs.
Thank you.
Did you? Councilor Clayton? And then.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, sure.
I move that council approve the request of the Rosebud Community Enhancement Society to install power services to the community picnic area, shelter, and seasonal Christmas lights display in the lower bowl of the county park property in Rosebud as presented and subject to the conditions listed in the report.
Thank you. Motion on the floor, any discussion?
I just have a question. On page 901 is the little map of Rosebud, and I think there's a house that's being built or something southwest of where this proposed light display is going to go. And I'm just curious, it's not going to impact them, is it? It's not going to be bright light shining in their window all evening long kind of thing?
It shouldn't be because the grades there, it drops off quite a bit. So, and it would be shut off. Like it wouldn't run all night, right? It would just run till 10 or 11 kind of thing, right? So we could make sure that there's also timers on that. So it wouldn't be running all night.
Yeah. I also, just as a comment, I think the electricity for these things is pretty large. Well, I don't know, Strathmore has a huge bill for their celebration of lights, and I expect probably the Rosebud Community Enhancement Society will likely apply for funding through CURB, and so I support it, but I do think that the county ultimately will end up allocating some money towards it, and that just means that somebody else won't get it, I guess is. But community enhancement, it's always an ongoing thing, and you want to keep keep new ideas coming. So I'll support it.
Any more discussion? Go ahead.
You've heard me talk about before the washrooms in Rosebud. And they'd be up there by the picnic shelter, about where they want to put the power. It would be a good place to have the two combined. And another attraction in town in the wintertime, and washrooms would be another plus. And the latest I've heard down there, there's about 40,000 come to the show every year. They're figuring the tourist load in Rosebud now, if government figures, was around 70,000. There's people coming to Rosebud now that don't even know there's a theater there. They're coming for other reasons. So this washroom idea, sooner or later, we're going to have to build one. Every time we do an add-on like this, if we did it all once together on a nice plan, we would save a little bit of money. But it would be, I think, some thought should go into it. But yeah, I'll support the power for sure. But I think we could be a little proactive with the washroom.
Councillor Hibbs.
Councillor Kester, where are they finding the numbers of 70,000? Because when I look on Alberta Tourism website, they're saying 35,000, maybe 40,000 max. So 70,000, where'd that number come from, please?
It's coming from the residents in town. And that's not, what you see on the website is for the dinner theater or for the theater. These are the numbers I'm picking up from the residents.
So there's 30,000 people that come there just to not go to the dinner theater. That's
What they're saying.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too. In fact, one guy here last summer had an electric car and he thought he'd stop off in Redland or Rosebud. Took the road and didn't have enough power to get the drum to charge up. He spent the night in Rosebud and plugged into somebody's. He had a camp out in their yard.
Any more discussion? Call the question.
I know this is not a comment for the
Carried.
table, but
Go ahead.
if you get to Rosebud and go to the theater of Anna Green Gables, that was an amazing show. Amazing.
Next one, 7.7, county letter of support for trade diversification corridors fund application by Alberta Transportation. Mr. Bullock.
Good afternoon, Council. Brad Bullock presenting. Administration did receive a request from Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors for a letter of support to support their grant application to the Federal Trade Diversification Corridors Fund for the planned Highway 1 and 264 overpass project. The request came in following the July 7th council meeting. However, ATEC did need a response back prior to today's council meeting. And so administration did go ahead and poll council informally via email, received a majority number of council members that supported signing the Reeve signing that letter. So we went ahead and did that and provided that to ATEC as part of their grant application submission. And now this report essentially just to ratify that decision by council for the Reeve to sign that letter and provide it to ATEC as part of their application. And that's concludes my report, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Pretty straightforward. There was an email circulated around, majority supported it. Now we're just ratifying it, so. Those wishes, go ahead.
We'll move that council approve Wheatland County providing a letter of support to Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors for inclusion in an application for funding through the Trade Diversification Corridors Fund for the planned Highway 1 and Range Road 264 interchange, and that council ratify the Reeves signing of the letter.
And there's no charge for me to sign the letter. Discussions on the floor, or motion on the floor, any further discussion? Cost enormous, yeah, it's my gray hair. I'll call the question. And I apologize for removing my jacket, but I feel like I'm on fire here. Whew. Oh, it's hot. Voting. That's carried. And we don't have information back to do the red land thing. You haven't got that all figured out already. We can keep going. We'll move on to Range Road 255 rail crossing report. At the end of the hour, we have the power. Go ahead, sir.
Hello again, Council. Cody Zimmerman with administration presenting. At the June 16th, 2026 regular council meeting, council considered the installation of an active rail crossing warning system at the CP rail crossing located on Range Road 255. That would be south of Township 222 near Carsland. Following discussion, council rejected the proposed installation due to the significant capital cost, then directed administration to investigate alternative measures, specifically the installation of stop signs with and without flashing lights, and report back to council. Administration subsequently sought additional information regarding regulatory requirements, crossing compliance, and reviewed potential safety enhancement measures at the crossing. The Range Road 255 crossing is classified as an existing grade crossing under the grade crossing regulations. While current standards would at minimum require the installation of an active warning system without gates if the crossing were constructed today, the GCR does not require existing crossings without warning systems to be retroactively upgraded to current standards solely because regulatory standards have evolved. So although the crossing generally complies with the applicable regulation, opportunity does exist to further enhance motorist awareness and improve safety of the location. Following its review, administration has verified that the following safety enhancements are permitted under the applicable regulatory requirements and may be incorporated into the existing crossing controls. Replacement of the existing stop signs with oversized stop signs to improve visibility and driver recognition, and installation of solar-powered flashing red beacons above the stop signs to emphasize the mandatory stop condition and to increase driver awareness. The estimated cost to implement the enhanced safety control measures is approximately $4,000, and sufficient funding is available to complete the installation within the approved 2026 operating budget. It is anticipated that the installation could be completed within 4 to 6 weeks from the time of approval. And that concludes my report, and I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
I move that council direct administration to proceed with the installation of oversized stop signs and solar-powered flashing red lights on Range Road 255 rail crossing near Carsland.
Thank you. Motion on the floor, any discussion? Just wanted to note that with the road closing that we're looking at a few weeks ago, it had flashing lights and everything on there, and I don't know how that would be any less traffic. Where you're talking about you take your farm equipment over there, like there's flashing lights and everything on there, and I thought, well, if we would have closed the road, we could have moved them, but we didn't do that. But I wonder how they come apart these, like that road can't be that busy compared to this one, and it has all that control measures on there. Is it because it's 2 tracks? Maybe, I don't know.
Such an angle.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The other one that's out there is straight across.
Yeah,
But this one,
but that one has control measures on it, so it doesn't make
There's
sense.
2 tracks there
Yeah, there's 2 tracks. Yeah,
at this one with the stop sign.
no,
no.
the other one is.
One of the 2 tracks had to be reworked by CP, and they probably, that would have
Makes
been the
sense.
new regulation.
Yeah. Okay.
Is what I'm guessing.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Call the question.
That's on my.
That is carried. Is there anything else in the agenda that I've missed? That concludes this agenda for today. Thank you, everybody. I adjourn the meeting.